cried. A new dawn breaks across the plains. Hope rekindles in the crimson tide, as freedom's anthem calls our names. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Fields of dreams are ripe once more. Factories hum with honest pride. Our banner waves on every shore, with courage marching by our side. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Through trials dark, we found our steel. The eagle's cry breaks through the night. In unity, our wounds now heal. We chase the dawn with fearless light. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there? Today, it's Friday. Woohoo! Let's see. Simon, good to see you, man. Pam, always good to see you, my dear. Jimmy from Philly, the brother from the same mother. Who else is out there? I don't know who Al Mack is, but he said hi, so welcome. Let's wait for a couple more people to pop in. We got, wow, this week is a theme. Oh, first of all, Dr. Jade is not with us anymore until next week. Yeah, she's in, I believe, Montana, where men are men and women are glad of it, right? And she's up there visiting, I believe, family, and I think her husband and she are celebrating their anniversary. I think it was 38 years or something like that, if my memory didn't lapse. So happy anniversary, Dr. Jade, and we'll see you next week. Hey, what's up, Chris? Good to see you, man. Oh, you're packing. So you, all right, you're not here yet. All right. I thought you were. I thought you were here this week. All right, man. Yeah, we'll talk when you get here. Let me know when you're here. All right, we'll have to go out. All right, let's see. Let's get on to what this week is. The theme is Dr. Fauci did not have a good week. Can we put it that way? There's a lot of other news, though, that we're going to go over, but that's like the main theme this week. Let's get into it. So America trusted Fauci's mask guidance, but his diary shows he didn't. Right. What cost Republicans the Senate in 2010 could cost Democrats more in 2026. I keep telling people, like, you got to keep telling everybody that's a Republican, just get the hell out and vote. Just get out and vote. All right. Now, this picture here, doesn't that look like Laura Ingraham right there? Could it have been her? I don't know. I didn't watch much of the hearings this week, but I saw enough for him to, to take the fifth every single time. Fauci shakes. He did. He was shaking when he was reading that opening statement. And technically, when the law says when you say things, if you're going to take the fifth and you make declarative statements that roll into what you know are going to be questions coming at you, you can't take the fifth. Plus, legally, I don't believe he can take the fifth on the issues that they were asking him on, because he got a powerful auto pen pardon, which I don't think is going to hold up if it ever went to the Supreme Court, because you can't have a staffer, an unelected staffer, right, say, oh, yeah, and basically, I think they interviewed two of the staffers that had the auto pen, the button, I guess, and they were like, I don't know if he knew it or not. They just told us to do it. Okay. John Nolte from Breitbart. 1/3 of Democrats now identify as Democratic Socialists. Was this like a shock to anyone? The legacy media outlets downplay Moroccans swarming into Spain. I've got some videos for you. Focus on right-wing response instead. Yeah, that's the old Republicans pounce. Instead of doing the story where the Democrats effed up, they point to the Republicans pointing out that the Democrats effed up. Republicans pounce. And once you see that, you can never unsee it again, because that's how cowardly our media is. This is Kurt Schlichter, who I like. You guys know that. Here's Fauci's legal options. He's a lawyer. Besides, I think he's a colonel in the Army. John Cleese, who I think is he's not a lib nut, but he's definitely like to the left, but he speaks truth a lot of times. And this is one time he drops truth bombs about Islamic culture, and they don't like him. Now, Trump has an incredible response to Fauci's testimony. They say incredible. It was incredible, but it was really short, but it's still worth watching. The silver lining in a new report on Trump's struggling economy. I paid $3.89 today again for gas. Not bad, considering we have a war going on. SCOTUS Justice KBJ Lemelon calls for impartiality while appearing on Michelle O's podcast. You can't make this stuff up. So the fall of the ACLU, which I think stands for the American Criminal Liberties Union, and Barack Obama fathered today's Marxist Democratic Party. He did. Elon Musk rides to the GOP's midterm rescue. He's going to fund a lot of campaigns. And back to it, Spain is falling. They had like 80,000 people go into, what is it, Ceuta or Ceuta? In America, we say Ceuta, but it's a small town in Spain. And the 80,000 of them came in. Well, I heard the population was 80,000. Like before this 80,000 came in. That's an invasion, guys. That's not migration. It's an invasion. So Fauci's secret diary reveals his sick lust for power. There's a lot of crap in there. He's like a narcissistic psychopath. At least RFK Jr. pointed it out when he read it. New Biden tapes make Joe look bad, but the media looks even worse. We got a lot more on Fauci. Kamala Harris buys an $8 million mansion in 94% white California neighborhood. I guess that's for her husband, right? Because he's white. But think about that. She got $8 million, and she's been on the public teat for like her entire career. U.S. intelligence chiefs, get this, they back Trump. They confirm key elements of China's election interference, of course. Schiff-backed candidate abruptly ends gubernatorial campaign amid rumblings of a damaging report. Ted Cruz demands Fauci face jail time, labels him America's most damaging bureaucrat. The WNBA, guys, I've been following this now. You know how nobody ever watched the WNBA? Well, I've been following it because of those two women, the two white chicks, right? The one is, they're both really good scorers, but the one's a really good scorer, and the girls in the other team, they constantly poke her in the eye and shit. And then we got the other one that comes up and just whoops their ass right on the court. So that's going to be fun. Rand Paul has thoughts after the Senate interrogation. Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton action results in removal of 6,500 non-citizen registrations from voter rolls in Virginia. It doesn't happen. What are you talking? You don't know what you're talking about. No, that's Fauci. Sorry, that never happens. Illegals? Come on. And you want to know something? Illegals. The secret is you don't have to get illegals to vote. You just got to get them to register. And then they don't go vote, but you know who they are. And then you throw a ballot in the mail for their name. They never voted, but they voted. That's the trick. The father who gifted his son the rifle. You remember this case in Georgia, high school shooting? He got sentenced to 15 years. Like he knew his son was going to do that. I don't think that's cool. I mean, I think that the son that shot the, yeah, he should be buried under the prison. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Unless he knew his son was like, like batshit crazy. He gave him a gun. He gave it to him, I guess, birthday, Christmas, whatever. That's a normal thing in Georgia, believe it or not. But I don't think he should have been sentenced. Unless I read up on it. I didn't see too many things that would cause for that. So I think he got hit by a libnut court. Trump now says he will respect Biden's unprecedented auto pen blanket pardon of Anthony Fauci. You know why? Because they're going to go after him legally. He should not have been allowed to claim the fifth, because he had I said this earlier, he had no jeopardy when he has a blanket pardon like that. And his pardon goes back to 2014. But then the other part of it is for a pardon, it's one of the, Trump says it's one of the most powerful things the president can have. However, you can't pardon someone for something they haven't been charged with yet. You can't. So I don't know what's going on. But yeah. So let's see. Welcome to socialism. A Clinton hands stark warning about Mamdani. The 5 most shocking moments from Fauci, Ron Johnson, unknown devastating safety data of Fauci. Yeah, the guy just, what a scumbag. And for we conservatives, like, we're kind of happy that this is happening, because there was a real freaking reckoning that needed to happen on all the COVID bullshit. You think about it, guys, what they did. Think about it. Democrat governors shut down their states, right? They shut down businesses. They shut down people's jobs and all that. Republican governors shut down their states until they realized that it wasn't really that big a deal. They protected the elderly and people with comorbidities, right? Which was usually the elderly. And so the left virtue signaled to the Republicans, you're going to get 1 million people killed. Didn't happen, right? So people were dying left and right in the blue states, right? Because they did everything wrong. And yet they're the same a-holes that would be screaming, Donald Trump killed all these people. Donald Trump didn't shut anyone down. He shut not one business, not one person, no one. Fauci didn't shut them down. He gave the guidance, and the blue tyrants, they used that to let their inner tyrants out. That's what happened. But then CNN had a fucking death clock, if you remember that. They had a death counter, on the Chiron, on every show, 24/7. You could see it update during the shows, right? And they're blaming, and they say, Trump death rate, COVID death rate, right? But how much did Trump do to cause people, they locked people down in their homes, not letting people out, no herd immunity. They didn't understand any of that. And they did exactly the worst that they could have possibly done. Get this one. An activist judge's comparison of Trump official to her son's killer is beyond the pale. So we're going to get into that. These judges are out of their freaking minds because they are appointed by politicians that are out of their freaking minds. There's a historic update in the Gaza peace plan. I don't know about that. Watch, things do not go well when Chuck Schumer gets blasted by a protester. And more and more and more and more. Let's see. It's all here. Luigi, what's going on, brother? Hey, 42. All right, let me do the intros now. Hey, what's up, Commander? Who else? Jimmy from Philly. You guys are here. Commander's here. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right, you guys. First things first. 42. He is in the link to his channel for his live streams, which are on Saturdays at 5:30 Eastern, I believe. That's when I start watching every week. He is the Ulster poet patriot. Love this guy. I learn so much from him every time I watch. He gets into the history of the UK with a special emphasis on Northern Ireland most of the time. If you like historical stuff like that, man, check him out. Also, Robin from Courage is the Cure. Her link is also every week, right under 40s. She has a Rumble channel. She has a YouTube channel. I don't know the links to the other one. So I just put those two in there. Follow her as well. She's from Australia. She's a hawk on privacy issues going on in Australia, or the violation of them, if you will, by their government. And she's also, oh, you're welcome, dude, brother, any day, man. And thank you for being here too. What's called so she also does a lot on she investigates a lot of things where their government just goes over the limit for things like that. So she's a really strong voice for that kind of stuff. So check her out as well. Give her a sub. Give 42 a sub, please. Okay, so let's see. Jimmy from Philly. Yeah, we don't have Jade here tonight. Like I said earlier, for those who aren't here, she's up in Montana right now visiting family, I believe. And I believe she said they're celebrating her wedding anniversary. It was like 38 years or something like that. She'll be back next week. So, yeah, Robin is pretty awesome. But so is 40. Yeah. So let's see. You know what happens? In the morning, I get up at 5 o'clock every morning, and I come down. Hey, how you doing, Eric? Good to see you. You're new. Welcome. Every morning, 5 o'clock, I get up for work, and I come to the studio, and I get on, and I'll see her doing a stream, because Australia, it's like morning for me, right, when she's doing it. And so I'll sit there and I'll watch, and I start to get in, and I'm like, crap! I look at the clock. I gotta go. So then I got to come back later on and watch it later. So we have a lot of respect for you, brother. Oh, thank you, brother. To me, little old me. All right, let's get this going. Let's start. We got a lot of good videos as well. I didn't do too many. I didn't do too many of these. Oh, and 40. I figured out why my PC kept crashing. It's an HP PC, and one of their plugins was causing it. It must have got an update, and it was just screwing me up. So I painstakingly had to go through every little step you got to, but now it's fine. So yeah, that was a pain, man. I was on a stream last Saturday night, and bloop, I just went nowhere. I'm like, oh man, no way. All right, so let's start with this one. We're going to bring it up. Share the screen. Okay. Why does it say? All right, share this screen instead. There we go. Finally. I'm on Microsoft Edge right now, which I haven't done a stream on Edge yet. But America trusted Fauci's mask guidance. I never did. His diary shows he didn't. How about that? So let's make it a little bigger. So dismiss. All right. So Dr. Anthony Fauci doubted masks worked long before he let Americans know it in his own diary. But he said it. I saw YouTube videos of him saying, I would not think a mask like that would do. You don't know what you're talking about. That asshole. Anyway, Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky Republican, released a 1,141-page document days before Fauci was slated to testify before the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. Well, there's a name. In a final showdown, Mr. Paul, they call him Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, the panel's chairman, said in a fundraising email Monday that he had to subpoena. I don't think this guy's like partial to conservatives. And it's the Washington Times, for goodness sake. The panel's chairman said in a fundraising email Monday that he had to subpoena Dr. Fauci to force him to testify. The diary, which spans Dr. Fauci's private thinking from early 2020 through the Biden administration, includes a March 31 entry acknowledging we probably were too strong in saying masks do not work. Now, a little sidebar here. He made a big stink in his opening statement about he took my unredacted personal diary. Well, guess what, a-hole? You stored it on government servers. Doesn't belong to you. I don't give a damn how personal you think it is. It belongs to the government. And guess what? That's covered by the Espionage Act. The Espionage Act says any document, and they go on to define documents, and that certainly was a document by the definition, right? But it says it doesn't even say classified. Everybody thinks it's classified. No, it doesn't say classified in the definition in the Espionage Act. It doesn't. It says any document that basically comes out of the government purview without proper classification, that you can go to prison, right? So it belongs to the government. It wasn't his private diary. No, it was a diary that dumbass loaded onto a government server because he thought he'd never go away. He wrote that just before the government officially came out in favor of masking him, after Dr. Fauci himself told the public in early March 2020, people should not be walking around with masks. He did say that. I remember that shit. So Mr. Paul's office said the diary's nearly daily writings completely undermine what Dr. Fauci said publicly at the time. The senator said he plans to ask Dr. Fauci about NIH funding for gain-of-function research in Wuhan, China. His role, we know all that crap. The diary also reveals Fauci's private insults toward Mr. Paul, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and others, including his boss, Donald Trump. Thought he was a fool, all kinds of crap, right? Along with his fixation on favorable media coverage during the pandemic's peak. All right. So that's that. That's the first one, just to start it off. Let me see what do we got here. Say what? I use Firefox. Okay. Use Orbit. Cool. Yeah, I have Brave, which it's a Chromium. So I use Brave and I use Chrome. The hell else do I use? I have Opera and Edge. I had to. The reason why is because I get this. I bought a subscription to Town Hall, which gives you 5 news sites. It's like Red State, Twitchy, PJ Media, Town Hall, and what the hell's the other one? I can't remember the last one. But and what happened is when I log in on Chrome or Brave now, and it just started like today. When I log in, it opens a box saying you are now logged in. You click, hey, continue, and then it still says sign in, and you can't get into the VIP section. I'm like, what? Right? So I found out that it works because that's a lot of the stories we're doing tonight are from those 5, and so I found out it works on Edge only for me anyway. And I couldn't figure it out. I even had Claude. I used Claude, and I had Claude Code take over my PC and look it up. And Claude did this write-up for me to send to them, and I did. And they wrote back, did you clear your cookies? In other words, they didn't read it at all. Morons. All right. So let's see. Is it green? Hi, sweetheart. So good to see. Cool beans. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, I want to talk about this. What cost the Republicans are now going to cost the Dems, and I think it's going to be a bloodbath. All right, what cost Republicans the Senate in 2010 could cost Democrats more in 2026. We're now less than 100 days before the midterms. What's going to happen? Who knows? Conventional wisdom says the party out of power will gain seats. They should get in the House like between 30 and 55, 60 seats usually, right? I don't know, because the Republicans as of right now are at 212, right? They only need, they need 218. They need to win 6. I did a video on it in a story, and we talked about it. They need 6. So they need to win 1/3 of the toss-up states. There's 18 toss-up states. I think they can do it. But this is a unique year where, despite all the things going on for Democrats, there's also a lot going against them. Enthusiasm within the party's own ranks is cratering, and that's because of the commies. Because DSA is there, and DSA is pissing a lot of the voters off. You know, believe it or not, guys, there are a lot of Democrats that are not, they're not crazy ass, lib nuts. They're normal people that just didn't get realized that they're probably conservative, right? So, or their parents and their grandparents. A lot of people were born into their party. You usually do what your parents do until you grow up and then you weigh it yourself, right? So a lot of them are really pissed off, and the ones that you don't want to piss off in the United States now are the independents. Because both parties are so narrow when it comes, you gotta reach the independents. It's out. They don't like it. They don't like the communism. The first problem they have is money. Outside Republican groups, including the National Republican Senatorial Committee, are sitting on $657 million. Democrats are roughly at $334 million. And I'm gonna say this. Look, I'm not gonna say Republicans don't get big donors. Sure they do. But they also get a lot of small guys that throw 10, 20, $100, a lot. Okay. The Democrats, not so much. They just get from the dark money, right? I'm not saying Republicans, fact checkers. I'm not saying Republicans don't have dark money as well. They do. But not like the Dems. I mean, they were getting that Act Blue got caught on so many felonies. I haven't heard any news about arrests or anything. It's like everything else, right? They might get away with it, but I hope not. But the Democrats get all their money through like really effed up ways. USAID was throwing money at them, throw it to an NGO. The NGO throws it here, and then they throw it back into the coffers of the Democratic Party and the DNC and whatnot. So about half that total of the Republicans. Quote, Democrats, they're much more like this. They're your $1 bills, while Republicans are much more like this, your 50s, and I dare even say your $100 bills. CNN chief did Harry Enton. We love Harry Enton here because he doesn't BS you, when he does the numbers, right? The numbers are worse for Democrats at the national committee level, right? The Republican National Committee has 129 million on hand as of June, right? The Democratic National Committee's debt actually exceeds its cash reserves, leaving the party $2 million in the hole. Yikes! I mean, think about that. Now, this happened in 2016. Barack Hussein Milhouse Benito Obama, he left the DNC penniless. He spent it all and didn't give a rat's ass, right? Because he was the king shit. He shit rainbows and ice cream. Everybody else, nah. Right? So that's how Hillary got the nomination, because Debbie Wasserman Schultz she was the ugly chair of the DNC at the time down in Florida, and she had no money to fund any of the campaign. So Hillary comes along and goes, look, if you guarantee me the nomination, I will fund everything with all my illegal funding from that illegal money laundering system we call the Clinton Foundation. Right. And so she said, you got a deal. And I personally think that the Bernie bros should have sued over that. They did take it to court, but the judge, rightfully though, said, no, you can't really do that because it's not a government entity. They pointed out that the DNC and the RNC, they're private organizations. They can do whatever the hell they want. But I would call for fraud charges, because a lot of Bernie bros, you know what they gave? $21, right? They all donated to this guy, Fanatics, right? He was winning, right? Both times, I think. He was winning, and then the deal was made. It was struck between the two women in the DNC, Hillary and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and he got knocked out. So all those people put money into an effort that was just whacked out by the criminally insane. Manly temper tantrum. Who? Manly temper tantrum. Okay. So let's see what else is going on. Money isn't the problem. I've said before that historic precedent suggests that Democrats should do well this year, but there actually is a historical precedent that bodes quite poorly for them. Enton pointed to how Democrat voters feel about their own party's leadership in Congress, and those numbers are just as rough. Democrats can't even crack 50% approval from their own voters. Compare that to July 2010, when Republicans were furious with their congressional leadership during the Tea Party revolt. Even then, 52% of Republicans still approved of their own party in Congress. Quote, they're in a worse position, the Democrats in Congress, the Republicans were during the Tea Party wave of 2010, Enton said. So the Democratic Party's overall brand is even more underwater. Why not? They suck. In 2010, when the party retook the House, its net favorability sat at a solid +1 point. Now the 2026, that number has cratered to 24 points underwater. The bottom line is it's absolutely terrible, Enton said. This is music to my ears. But you know what? Again, guys, a poll is only good for that moment, right? The only poll that counts are the votes that are cast and counted, not the fake votes. So part of the reason is straightforward. A clear majority of voters, 57%, now say that the Democratic Party is too liberal. They're commies, according to Enton. That number has climbed steadily from 42% in 96 to 58% in 2013, and it hasn't moved much since. And here's the problem that they have. Chuck Schumer, I mean, how's he going to tell his voters, calm down? Communism is not dead. I'm still here, right? And the idiot, Jeffries, right? Hakeem Jeffries over in the House, he's still saying Donald Trump knows that he's underwater he's got the worst ratings there. Meanwhile, Trump's ratings are rising again. Right? I mean, these two clowns, and think about that too. The Democrats want the two leaders of Congress to be from the same state. How stupid is that, right? It's because they're stupid. So that's where Democrats, Socialists of America comes in. Yeah, these guys. Enton, whatever. Let's watch him. He's old.
Hey there, if Democrats lose to Trump yet again, these are all the red flags. Democrats, you have only about 100 days until the midterm elections, and you don't have control of either chamber anywhere close to being locked up. What are we talking about here? Well, we're talking, first off, we're talking about cash on hand. We're talking about cash on hand. You know, Democrats, they're much more like this. They're your $1 bills, while Republicans, you're much more like this, your 50s, and dare I say, even your $100 bills, because just take a look here. Cash on hand from the main outside groups, ergo your congressional committees, right? Your NRSC. Take a look here. Republicans at this point, $657 million.
Look at Harry.
My goodness gracious. That's
I love
why
this
I'm
guy.
talking about these bills, right? $100 bills. While the Democrats, only about $334 million, only about half the level of Republicans. And of course, cash is what makes the world go round in politics. Now, you think that these numbers are bad? How about the national committees themselves? The RNC, the DNC, Republican National Committee, Democratic National Committee. Look at this. Cash they have June 2026. The RNC, $129 million. That's pretty gosh darn good, right? But get this. The Democrats are a rarity. The DNC is red on your screen. Why are they red? Because they're literally in the red, way down there. They're actually in negative territory. That's cash on hand subtracted by the party debt. The party debt actually is greater than the cash on hand. The Democratic National Committee.
This guy works for CNN, and he's laughing at Democrats. You gotta love the irony.
It's broke. It's basically broke. And why is this? What is going on here? And it is because Democratic enthusiasm for the Washington establishment, it is way down there underwater, under the Potomac River. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, hello, approve of their own party in Congress. We're talking about a new Tea Party here. You know, back in July of 2010, when Republicans really did not like their congressional leadership, right? Really didn't like it. Still, 52% of Republicans approved of their own party in Congress. Look at where Democrats are now. They are in a worse position, the Democrats in Congress, than Republicans were during their Tea Party wave of 2010. Now, Democrats, they can't even reach the 50% mark. And we're talking within their own party. I mean, my goodness gracious. And of course, this to me is part of a larger problem that Democrats have when it comes to their own popularity. You know what it is? It's way down there underwater. Take a look at this. Okay, the Democratic Party net favorability. Back in 2018, when Democrats were able to take control of the House, they were actually on the plus side of the ledger. They were actually in positive territory at +1 point. Look now in 2026. We're not just talking down there underneath the Potomac. We're talking down there with the Titanic. We're talking 24 points underwater. And this is just the party overall. This isn't the congressional leadership. This is the party. The party. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible brand. Terrible. I want to almost get my Charles Barkley. Terrible, terrible. I can't even do a Charles Barkley. But the bottom line is it's absolutely terrible. Now, what is the reasons? Why is the Democratic brand so terrible? Well, one reason why the Democratic brand is so terrible at this point in the voters' minds is take a look at this trend line.
Look at this shit.
Voters saying that Democrats are too liberal.
They are.
In 1996, it was 42%. In 2013, it was 58%. Now,
hold on a second. Where are we? Where are we? We had Commander. Thank you, brother. Where the hell is it? I can't get on it. Oh, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Just a little something for you, brother. Love you, man. Love you too, bro. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, let's do this.
Now, the clear majority of Americans believe, and the clear majority of voters say that the Democratic Party is too liberal. 57%, they think that the Democratic Party is out of the mainstream, out of the frame, I dare say. My God, this is a massive, massive problem. And you know what is fueling that? You know what's only adding fuel to the fire? How about the Democratic Socialists of America? You know, I mentioned
here we go.
A new
This is what I wanted to watch.
Net favorable opinion of the Tea Party back in June of 2010 versus the Democratic Socialists of America, the DSA, right now. Remember, the Tea Party helped keep Democrats in control of the United States Senate back in 2010 because Republicans ran all these candidates that were just seen out of the mainstream, right? Christine O'Donnell in Delaware. How about Ken Buck in Colorado? How about Sharon Angle, who did the impossible in Nevada and helped get Harry Reid another term in the United States?
I don't even remember those names.
State Senate. Well, their net favorable rating back in June of 2010, 13 points underwater. Not too hot to trot. Not too hot to trot. But
I love Harry.
Not absolutely
Not too
terrible.
hot to trot.
Compared to the DSA now, 25 points underwater. Twice as unpopular as the Tea Party was back in June of 2010. Now,
that's it. That's all we need to do. But that's why. Thank God. Thank you, DSA. Thank you. We appreciate it. You guys should donate to the DSA. Donate to those a-holes. Let me see. You can't pay me to run. Yeah. I was asked to run in PA. I said, no. They're like, why? I said, because in order to win, you got to do this. Right? And your payback is never this. Right? Linda, what's up, girlfriend? Good to see you. He would make a great weather guy great again. Yeah, he would. Yeah. I know. I love Harry Anton. Right. Great gay girly. It's so good to see you. Yeah. All right. So let's see what the next one is. Let's go down the list. Fauci shakes uncontrollably. Yeah, let's do that one. Let's jag off. All right, here we go. So share screen. Watch. Get out of here. So Fauci shakes the paper. You see it shaking while reading his opening statement. And it is true. But let's see. Hopefully there it is. Let's just watch it. Let me take it over to X first. Share this one instead. Did it come up? Yes, it did. Okay, hold on, buddy. Yeah, watch the paper, man.
Any reasonable person who has followed his
unhinged
obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion. Therefore, although it pains me to do so,
I'm sure it
because
does.
of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government
that he lied to multiple times. That kind of respect. You see Laura, she's smiling like, oh my God.
And my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
Oh man, that was so worth it. That was so worth it. Just watching that. Hey. You wonder, I'm chewing antacid because it's hitting me bad today. I know, WTMI. I get it. We do. Let's see. Socialism, capitalism on a college campus. Ready? Let's bring it up. Okay. Stop screen. Share screen. Here we go.
Made each of them realize that everything they believed was built on flawed thinking.
Which would you rather have in America, socialism or capitalism?
I would say socialism.
How do you view the word socialism, favorably or unfavorably?
I guess I would go with favorably.
Like, I have family in Europe. They go to college for free. Their healthcare is paid for. They don't have to worry about it at all.
I favor that over capitalism. I also think I favor that, like, socialism over capitalism.
Socialism is more geared toward like helping the governed.
I'd rather people have that same opportunity. A lot of excess in America.
The main idea of socialism being that people at the top are doing their fair share to help people at the bottom, trying to prevent disparity of income and trying to prevent excess, as you called it. So on campus, if there's a GPA disparity where there's people at the bottom with a poor GPA, would you support a policy where people at the top spread the wealth and give that GPA to people at the bottom?
Help them get a better GPA. I'm all for helping. I wouldn't give let me just give you some of my points.
But it's about being fair, right?
Yeah, but you want us to give all our money to other people, right?
To help people at the bottom?
I've lost a lot of sleep, so I don't know if I will be fair.
It would be kind of like hypocritical for me.
Do you understand that? So she wouldn't do it because she worked really hard for her grades. Like, people don't work really hard for their money, right? They want the people that didn't work very hard. I mean, look, Americans are the most generous people in the world. I mean, that's not even, I'm not saying no other fact checkers. I'm not saying nobody else is generous. Everybody is, but Americans are overwhelmingly generous. Usually when there's some kind of lib nut around the world fucked up their country, we're right in there with money, right? We just always are, right? Of course, nobody helps us, but we always are, right? Right? So you think about it, they want government to help people. They don't want themselves to help people, right? So they want the government to force you to take your money to help people, but they're not willing to do it themselves.
To say no. That's completely different.
How's it different?
Because I'm like studying all day for my grade.
What do you mean by sharing it? Like literally like giving them a chunk of my GPA?
Yep. I would want to say no straight up.
But what's the difference between earning a high GPA and not wanting to give it away, but then earning a lot of money?
Sorry, guys, did he paint his hair on? What do you think? Does it look like he painted his hair on? Wow.
And also not wanting to give that away.
I feel like the difference is that you study for your grades, right? And grades often reflect how much time you spend studying.
I work pretty hard to become a millionaire.
I mean, I'm not denying that fact either, but for the regular working person, you know.
Do you think there's a similarity between earning your salary and maybe not wanting to give it away to people that aren't working to earn it? And same thing with the GPA where you earn it and you say, well, I don't necessarily want to give it to anyone who might not be working for it.
Right. I think it's just that whole sense of thinking that no one's going to work for it.
I mean, I sacrifice a lot to get my GPA, you know.
Do you hear this? They're saying all the things that conservatives say about socialism when it comes to their GPA, having to give
I don't go out as much as I'd like to, but that's for something like a greater goal in the future. So no, I wouldn't sacrifice my own things, like sacrifice my own time to help somebody else who didn't want to make those same sacrifices.
There's some people who are in the bottom, but they really are working. And there's some people who are in the bottom and they deserve that poor GPA.
Kind of like people making money with their income?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like some people. Let's not throw shade.
Isn't it about
like, look at his side. It's like up top. Look, it looks like it's painted on. Like he's sweating it out or he dyed his hair that's there.
Helping the less fortunate.
Really profiting off of my work for you. So who's really the bad guy here?
I don't think that'd be a good idea because then you're taking away from people that earn that grade. And what about the
what about the money that you guys think that we should pay to all
ones that aren't really working hard for their grades? So they're just going to get something they don't really deserve.
And yet they would be the first one to stand in line to get warm diarrhea brains Biden to forgive their student loan debt.
Do you think it's similar with your salary?
Yeah.
No, that's the complete opposite of meritocracy.
I don't think they're comparable because your GPA is not directly linked to like your quality of life necessarily.
But you still
it isn't?
have to earn it the same way you'd have to earn a salary, right?
I mean,
if you agree socialism sucks, subscribe.
Nah, that's pretty good. Yes, I agree socialism sucks. I'm not going to subscribe. Not yet. You're pulling it off. Pulling what off? Was Bobbity here? Where the hell is he? Is he okay? Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. He popped in like a few weeks ago, but settled down. I'm good with just about anything. Okay, so let's see what's next. Yeah, wow. 1/3. Where are we? There we go. John Nolte, one of my favorite writers at Breitbart. So he says that 1/3 of Democrats now identify as Democrats socialists. More than likely because they don't know what it is. Far left CNN reports. I love how he does that. Because for the left, they always go far right Republican, Bernie Sanders, right? Yeah, it's always far right conservative, right? They never say far left. All right, so far left CNN reports that about 1/3 of Democrats and Democratic leaning adults identify as Democratic socialists per the latest polling. Get the hell out of here. Okay, this is a big problem for an increasingly radicalized Democrat Party that continues to move further and further to the left and far out of mainstream thinking on issues like abolishing prisons, abolishing the U.S. Senate, sexualizing and queering little kids. Fact checkers, I'm just reading it. Defunding the police, open borders, socialized medicine, annihilating Israel, and outright property confiscation. Oh, I can name like 5 more. The polling shows that 59% of these socialists are under age 45, and surprise, surprise, predominantly white, 57%. They're also less likely to have a college degree or make over $100,000. Wow. What should truly trouble the Democratic Party is how motivated these loons are to vote. 66% are extremely motivated to vote this year, compared to just 57% of non-socialist Democrats, which is good because the lower percentage is going to go out there while the rest just stay out. When these extremists win primaries, especially in purple states, that gives Republicans a real chance to prevail. Socialist Abdul El Sayed is less than a week away from winning the Democratic nomination for the U.S. Senate. The problem for Democrats is that he is a total radical, but he's a total radical, but he's a radical who is up over his closest primary opponent, Representative Haley Stevens, by double digits. However, polling also shows that he is losing to the Republican, I think by 10 points. Republican nominee, former Representative Mike Rogers, by double digits, whereas Stevens is tied with Rogers. In Wisconsin, thank you again, DSA. In Wisconsin, another purple state, socialist Francesca Hong is running away with the race to choose the Democratic nominee for governor. Polls also show that Hong is behind the likely Republican nominee, Representative Tom Tiffany, whereas Hong's closest primary opponent, former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, is up by 4 points over Tiffany. The gift that keeps on giving, the DSA. Between the war with Iran and the high gas prices, not to mention the usual voter bias against any White House incumbent during off-year elections, Democrats should be romping all over the country. Instead, at least as of right now, Republicans look like they will hold on to control of the Senate and have a fighting chance to hold the House. If forced to bet my life, I'd give the Senate to the GOP and the House to the Democrats, but a normal Democratic Party would be coasting to victory in this political environment. Their problem, of course, is that they have a tiger by the tail with these radicals, a tiger they created over the last 10 years. Yeah, letting the squad in, AOC, making Bernie really popular, where they radicalized their base to oppose President Trump on absolutely everything, including common sense policies like locking up criminals and deporting rapists. Hear, hear. That is exactly correct. What do we got? Let's see. Nick Shirley did a good video from New York Cast. Yeah, the Socialist Democrats. Yeah, and I saw one where he was walking away with cops because they had to protect him because the others were trying to, the libnuts were trying to attack him. Feed the burn. Yeah. Bias. Yeah, that's exactly right. So let's see. Let's do another. Let's see. Feynman on scientific method. We'll get to that later. There's a great analysis. Elon Musk versus legacy media. No. It's Fauci made things. Yeah, here we go. We'll get back to a Fauciism. I'm going to let the commercial go by. Before I bring it in. Hang on, please. All right, here we go. Pull it up. Share screen. There we go. So CNN admits that Fauci made things worse by invoking triple-digit string of Fifth Amendment protections. Here we go.
112 times to invoke the Fifth Amendment. I mean, you can't even string all that together. That obviously, it sends a message. Will that strategy work? Because he says, well, I had to do that because, they're looking for perjury traps. Or does that just make it worse? And is he in real trouble?
I think it makes it worse. It's even a curious way in which you wonder what his legal advice was and why they decided to do that. Yeah. Because he does not face criminal jeopardy for the pardon in all likelihood. He's pardoned for all actions before January 2025. But that also means that you're forced to testify. That's how prosecutors use immunity or.
See, what I think is going on, why he did it, is lawyers. Because I think he knows there's a whole lot of criminal stuff that they haven't found yet, but they will. And so if he testifies to a question they ask about something that he doesn't know they do know about it, or he lies under oath there, and says like, no, I did not. You don't know what you're talking about. And he pulls one of those things, right? And then later on, they come back and go, well, you know what? We found this, right? That's what he's afraid of. because he had. I mean, this guy was like the king of bullshit.
Pardons, and they say now you're forced to testify because you don't have any
Yeah,
criminal
there's no
liability.
jeopardy.
What we're going to ask you about. So then to plead the fifth is actually, he could then be held in contempt. There could be, theoretically at least, a Justice Department that goes after him for not answering when he is not really facing that criminal charge.
Yeah, and also when the reason put out is perjury traps, then of course, again, to the layperson, it's just saying, well, why wouldn't you just say the truth? What would be the problem in that? So, you know, I understand that's a layperson thing, but it doesn't sound good.
Right. Doesn't sound good. Never does. Oh, wow. Let me see. What do we got going on here? Yeah, look up my guy David from Moose on the Loose. Some well done Canadian. Okay. Will do in a little bit. Will do. Let's see. Let's go with John Cleese. What he recently said. That pissed off the left. John Cleese drops truth bombs about Islamic culture. Okay. Western civilization's self-immolation is no joke. Comedian John Cleese of Monty Python fame just made a completely accurate but incredibly daring argument. He's got all his money and fame. Let him retire, right? He doesn't care. You'll rarely find a celebrity making. Not all cultures are morally equal. Cleese posted July 30 in response to an X poll about his possible motives. I'm not a racist. I'm a culturalist. Well, let's read it here. Well, no, I'll read it here. So I'm not a racist. I'm a culturalist. I believe some cultures are superior to others. He went on. For example, I prefer cultures that do not encourage wife beating, pedophilia, stoning, and constant inflation of the male ego. I am also aware of the difference between Islamo-skepticism and Islamophobia. He ended with the point that he has probably had to make many times to his former friends and colleagues. Notice that hate does not come into this, only moral preferences. Well, unfortunately, most Western celebrities have become incapable of moral distinctions, but he did. These scenes from Spain right now, this is one. Watch this. There's no sound. Why is there no sound? There's no sound. Look at all this. Okay, that's the first one. Let me see. We got others. Hold on. Let me go here. I put notes. I got notes. Let's see. We'll do this. Ready? Look at this. Just watch this. Isn't that Ceuta or whatever they call Ceuta or Ceuta, Spain? It's 80,000. All the way around. Kind of like our caravan. Okay, now I got one more to show you. This is just unreal. It's an invasion. If you have 80,000 people in your town and 80,000 illegals, if you will, come through. I mean, come on. Let's try this one now. Is this one there? Yes, it is. Okay, here we go.
In recent days, tens of thousands have streamed into the enclave of Ceuta, including women and children, overwhelming authorities, and yes, as many as 18 have been killed in the crush. Ceuta is one of 2 Spanish territories along the Moroccan coast in northern Africa, the closest to Europe, Spain, the only European country with this African link. It's not clear exactly what's caused the latest stampede. There was that recent Spanish court ruling saying immigrants arriving by sea should not be turned back, a new Spanish program granting legal status to illegal immigrants. Spain, arguably the most migrant-open country in Europe. Madrid blames human traffickers for the
rape and pillage and
preying
plunder
on people who say economic conditions in Morocco and Africa are driving the onslaught. Spain's neighbors aren't pleased. Italy's Prime Minister Meloni,
they're not
posting,
refugees.
Quote, uncontrolled illegal immigration poses a threat to the security of Europe. One organization claiming a 60% increase in Europe's immigrant population in the last 15 years. The White House also weighing in, saying President Trump has long warned Europe what would happen if they continue to implement far-left globalist policies, including enabling mass migration. Spain and other countries who have adopted this destructive philosophy should immediately reverse course or face their own demise.
Right.
Guys, Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez has just been speaking. He says the immigrants' arrival in Ceuta was a violation of...
How about that? Yes, Jim, just like Canada is actually a subject of England. Live ammo. Exactly. Exactly. That's at the tip of Africa. The Moroccans are not happy with you. Let's see. Trump has an incredible response. Let's do this in silver lining. KBG. The fall of the ACLU. These people have done more damage to our country. All right, let's go. Let's go. The fall of the ACLU, the American Criminal Liberties Union is what I call them. So let's see. Get out of here. All right. So pop culture can linger longer than many news headlines. Take the 1981 movie Skokie. Danny Kaye starred as a Jewish Holocaust survivor protesting a planned Nazi march in a Chicago suburb. The American Civil Liberties Union played a central role in the fact-based drama, defending the Nazis' free speech rights despite their abhorrent views. That's what the American Criminal Liberties Union did for decades, stand tall for the First Amendment. That Kaye drama made it crystal clear even to those who never read a story tied to the civil rights group. The ACLU is not a civil rights group. They're a bunch of lawyers that I think to this day, their mission statement is communism in America. Always was. That ACLU, bold and unrelenting in its quest to preserve free speech, is mostly missing these days. The august body was whisper quiet as cancel culture ravaged Western culture. The group said little as comedians were censored both on stage and on social media. The Twitter Files scandal came out and went without any major ACLU pushback, nor did the group weigh in when sensitivity readers rose up to censor authors like Agatha Christie, Roald Dahl, whatever, and Ian Fleming. Why would they do that? Heck, we all could have used the ACLU when social media giants censored or downplayed the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. The same could be said because it all helped the left. That's why they weren't there. The same could be said for YouTube and other platforms censoring disparate views on the recent pandemic, even though naysayers were often right on the money. More recently, British singer MIA got booted from Kid Cudi's tour for sharing right-leaning views during a single concert appearance. Did the ACLU rush to her defense? No, but her lawyers did. What about Jewish artists like Michael Rappaport, who I can't stand, and singer Matisyahu facing cancellation threats, and worse, for supporting Israel, or conservative speakers getting harassed, or worse, for daring to speak on college campuses? The list goes on and on. Instead, the ACLU made headlines recently for fitting Bruce Springsteen, like a very anti-American guy. Why honor the 76-year-old rock icon? Could it be because the boss turned his 2026 tour into a No Kings themed event complete with nightly Trump bashing? Of course. You be the judge. The ACLU honored Springsteen, former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. I took a knee on that one. And 3 others with the new Ralph Ellison Award for Defenders of Civil Rights. Are you kidding me? And civil liberties in the arts, business, science, and sports. What do Springsteen and Kaepernick have in common? Both aggressively push liberal points of view via their celebrity platforms. Did they speak out against any of the above infringements? Not on your freaking life. Has the ACLU honored Elon Musk, the man who brought freer speech back to Twitter? That's exactly what he did. And I'll tell you what, I say that's why we won again, because he brought free speech back. What about John Cleese, a Monty Python alum who has spent a decade promoting free speech in the arts, especially as wokeness rocked the culture? No. A glimpse at the ACLU's webpage tells the rest of the story. The group now hyper-focuses on a variety of issues beyond speech: trans issues, racial justice, reproductive freedom, and smart justice. In other words, they all became Al Not-So-Sharptons. The latter's goal is to reduce the prison population by 50%. That explains plenty. Good news? The Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, FIRE, has stepped up to do the ACLU's job on the speech front. It hits both Democrats and Republicans and doesn't water down its mission for justice-based causes. You see the word justice in any of that bullshit? It's woke, obviously. Maybe Hollywood should make a movie about FIRE. Call it a spiritual sequel to Skokie. Exactly. Exactly. Let me see. How do I do this? Get rid of that. So here we go. See, where do we see an Aussie is now officially the fastest white man ever? That's funny. The fastest white man ever. The lie is right. Okay. Elon, the richest African. I know. He's an African American. Mr. Sharpton, your race card has been revoked. Exactly. Come out of the Commonwealth Games. He didn't win the race, came second, but broke the white man record. Oh, okay. Well, all right then. White, right? Yeah. Fact checkers. We're just clowning around. Okay. Let's go for another one. Should I get another? Here, Barack Obama brought the Marxists. I mean, we all knew this, right? Let's go. So Barack Hussein Milhouse Benito Obama fathered today's Marxist Democrat Party. Of course he did. With the rise, I want to make this bigger because I'm old. With the rise of the Mamdani-style communist has come a widespread narrative that the sudden rise of more openly radical politicians means the Democrats of the last few years or decades are somehow moderate. Depending on who's telling the story, it's a harrowing tale about Chuck U. Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries trying to stave off the DSA Marxists, or the far left floundering because it doesn't have its own Fox News, or the party needing a storybook journey home to the moderation of Joe Biden and Barack Obama. Moderation. Joe Biden forced people to get the jab or lose your job. How's that moderate? These are all tall tales, of course. Schumer and Jeffries are engaged in a power struggle, but it's an intramural contest among fellow radicals. Leftists far and near have numerous Fox News scale allies, such as CNN, ABC, and New York Times, Washington Post, and so on and so forth. Biden is anything but moderate, thank you, and Obama has arguably done more than anyone to create the radicalism that is now pervasive of the left. He was very anti-police. Every time a minority got shot by a cop, he didn't even wait for the facts. He just came out and blamed the police every single time, which believe it or not, I mean, if you're a mob mentality person, I'm not even putting race into this, and you're just waiting, you just sit around and go, I can't wait. Whoa. And you just freak out because you heard something, right? Well, when you have the president, the first black president of the United States saying that the police were racist, the Cambridge police acted stupidly. You remember that one? When his professor friend from Cambridge College, he was trying to break into his own house because he lost his keys, and the cops got called by neighbors saying, "There's a black guy breaking in," right? It was a beautiful house. So the cop just came up and asked the guy, "Excuse me, sir, can I help you?" And the guy was like, "No, I'm trying to get in my own house." And he goes, "Do you have any ID?" And he goes, "Oh, because I'm black." He played the whole race card, right? Well, you know how the story went. Obama sided with his college professor. The Cambridge police acted stupidly. And then when America told him STFU, Obama, right? And everybody started pointing out, wait a minute, the cop did his job. And it found out that cop, that white cop, that he was the guy that trained other police officers how to have community relationships with blacks in the black community. He was the guy, right? And so then they had the beer summit. Remember that? And everybody bought it. Oh, he had a beer with the president. The cop didn't want to go, but he was ordered to. I digress. So this hasn't stopped a host of commentators from presenting Obama as a beacon of their political center. In one recent example, former President Obama's friendly interaction with WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark went viral in the wake of anti-Clark backlash that included a USA Today op-ed accusing her of sparking racial lynching-level violence by complaining about referees' foul calls. Let me read that again. In the wake of anti-Clark backlash that included a USA Today op-ed accusing her of sparking racial lynching level violence. What? By complaining about referees' foul calls. It says, "You're fantastic," Obama told Clark. "Don't let all this nonsense get you down." His conversation with Clark had all the warmth and riz that made Obama an effective politician, and his avuncular advice reads like a Solomonic proverb compared to this kind of raving lunacy. It seems there is a white nationalist faction to Clark's fandom that is deeply, deeply problematic, made even more so because the WNBA is made up predominantly of black women, many of them queer. Now, I don't know who said that, but that was my Obama, so sorry. Oh, let's see what he has to say. We can share this one instead. Probably everything I just...
Oh, hey, Kate, how are you? Really nice to meet you. You're great.
Like this,
You're fantastic.
like this wasn't...
Don't let all this
This is just all natural grassroots here, right?
nonsense get you down. Yeah, you know, I always say one of the things that was luckiest for me was I didn't get famous till I was like 45. So I was an old man. I mean, you're my daughter's age. They're not to have that much, you know, burden and nonsense. So don't lose that joy. The game's like the game. And you're a hooper. And you
I try sometimes.
You know, no, you're always hooper. And you're on a nice little run right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
You mind if I get a picture?
Yeah, come on.
Ready?
Come on.
So cute. Wait, guys, get in with me too.
Come on.
Nice to meet you.
Come on. Oh, hey.
All right. Oh, hey. Okay. Let's see. What do we got here? Eyes of green. Linda, most of my family is on the left. Wow. My son and grandchild, due to COVID, not momentarily known. So, okay, cool. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of this. This is garbage. Don't want that. Okay. Elon Musk. Yeah, let's talk about what Musk is doing. So, richest man in the world, and they hate him for it. Elon Musk rides to the GOP's midterm rescue. Why do they need to be? They got so much money. Elon Musk, the mercurial trillionaire, is planning another massive cash binge on behalf of the GOP's midterm campaign that might just be enough to keep Republicans in power in the House and Senate. In 2024, Musk dropped a cool $260 million to help elect Donald Trump. No word on exactly how much Musk is willing to shell out this election cycle, but it will only add to the Republicans' massive cash advantage over the Democrats for the November contest. And people go, why is he siding with the Republicans? Well, because the Democrats tried to shut down all his companies. Think about that. They remember when the Biden administration, they hit him up, IRS attacked him. Right, all these other departments in the DOJ went and attacked him because he sided with Trump politically. So why would he want them back in power again? I mean, he did nothing wrong. I mean, sure, I'm not going to say he never did anything wrong, but the things that they tried to attack him for, he didn't do anything wrong. Quote, GOP super PACs and committees have a $300 million plus advantage over their Democratic counterparts, and that doesn't include the $400 million sitting in Trump's MAGA super PAC, Axios reported. And it's actually much worse than that. We just read all this, but is there a video? I hope. No, we just read all this. That the GOP is kicking their ass as far as money goes. Trump aligned, firepower, strategic estimates combined with well, Musk is putting his cash bomb into the most sophisticated get out the vote campaign in political history. Good, because in 2024. I remember the Democrat Van Jones laughed at it. Well, he was praising it. He said, he goes, we were laughing at the Republicans because they never showed up. You know, Sophie Cunningham was I know. Yeah, she's the one. Isn't she the one that keeps defending, like keeps going out for the other one? And she's the one that did the pointing. And I was like, who's this fucking lunatic? Until I realized what she was doing. Because there's I would play it, but it's got AC/DC's Thunder, and I would get hit. I would get dinged. But there's a couple of them where they show the two of them, and the one girl just right in her, like they just keep poking her in the eye, and they're doing it intentionally because when they go down, you see the smirk on their face, and then the other one just comes up and just destroys them. It's awesome to watch. That's the only reason I would watch basketball, just to watch that. So, all right, let me get back to it. So, Spain is falling. Yeah, Fauci's secret diary. Holy mackerel. This guy, I think he's in a world of trouble for what he just did. So, Fauci's secret diary. This is the Capitalist. It's the Substack. Brooke Brendigen. Fauci's secret diary reveals his sick lust for power. The speed at which Fauci jumps between discussing death tolls and his own raising popularity is stunningly dystopian. Well, all the left is dystopian, if you ask me. In preparation for an upcoming series of hearings with Dr. Anthony Fauci, Senator Rand Paul has released over 1,000 pages worth of documents written by Fauci. The former chief medical advisor to the president earned global recognition in 2020 amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. However, upon closer inspection, it is clear that Fauci used his position to gain power, fame, and even wealth. Tucked inside the hundreds of pages from his diary, it becomes strikingly obvious that Fauci used his pandemic fame to manipulate the American people, the government, and President Trump. One of 9. My investigation uncovered that Anthony Fauci kept the diary. What he wrote privately and what he told the country are two different stories. Today, I'm releasing his entries from December 2029 to December 2022. So, in January 2020, as the number of cases of COVID-19 in the U.S. began to rise, Fauci quickly took control of the narrative. As early as January 23, he began making detailed lists of his media appearances. Yeah, he just went nuts being on the media all the time. By January 29, he began mentioning the praise he received from President Trump, mentioning that Trump told him, Anthony, you are really a famous guy. Mick, my good friend, told me that you were one of the smartest, knowledgeable, and outstanding persons he knows. He also claimed that he was an amazing day for himself, that it was an amazing day for himself, despite the rising concerns about American citizens' exposure to the virus. The speed at which Fauci jumps between discussing death tolls and his own raising popularity is stunningly dystopian. At the height of lockdowns on March 15th, Fauci mentions that there have been 58 deaths in the U.S. thus far, before immediately bragging that he did all 5 Sunday shows. On March 19, as cases continued to surge, he complains that the POTUS had a press conference which did not include me. On March 21, he writes that there have been a startling 5,300 new cases and 73 new deaths, then proceeds to write, big front page article about me appeared in the Washington Post. Very flattering. The situation with my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable. It is not hyperbole to say that today I am the most famous and talked about person in the country and one of the most recognizable person in the world. Wow, what a piece of work, right? Apple will no, it's a different. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's a different story. We don't want to go into that. It's like, wow, man. Let me see. Let's see. What's this? I got something here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do that later. Okay, so sorry. Where are we going to go now? COVID czar ticked off the wrong women. Nah. Yeah, this is interesting about the Dems. They're just doing everything wrong. God bless them. So, ready? Dems sideline white voters in 2028. Primary calendar ranks races in order of importance. Wow. Okay, this is from Front Page Mag. Republicans and Democrats used to have a grand tradition of presidential candidates heading up to New Hampshire, putting on LL Bean jackets and trying to talk down to small groups of skeptical senior citizens and diners. It was a stupid way to choose leaders, but like democracy itself, it was also the least bad option because it forced national candidates to get out of their comfort zones and talk to random people in a state that they would have otherwise ignored. It's like, can I get me a hunting license here? Remember that when John Lurch Curry pulled that bullshit? Then the Democrats decided to run a senile presidential candidate in 2024. And to make sure that he had no possible competition, the DNC conspired to rig the primary calendar by starting the season off with South Carolina, a state whose political virtue was that political boss, Representative James Clyburn, could deliver the black vote to anyone dead or alive, or like Joe Biden, somewhere in between. That's pretty good. The DNC claimed that it was urgent to replace New Hampshire with South Carolina for the sake of diversity. Yeah, diversity in all the materialistic things, not diversity in ideology. The left never was. Because nothing epitomizes diversity like rigging an election for an old white man. New Hampshire was ordered to move its primary back. New Hampshire Dems explained that the primary dates were set by state law and that they had to proceed with the primary on the usual schedule. The DNC told Democrats not to vote in the primary and then launched a write-in campaign that Biden somehow won, despite barely being able to remember his name on a good day, testifying to either the complete mindlessness or fraudulence of the policy. Once Biden had been ousted, the DNC could have put back the old primary calendar. Instead, it decided to host a showdown between South Carolina and Nevada to replace New Hampshire. Nevada and South Carolina were at the top because, unlike New Hampshire, they had fewer white people, at least who voted Democrat, because most of those had decamped from the party that made a special point of hating them. The best argument for Nevada was that it was full of Latinos, and the best argument for South Carolina was that it's full of black people. But a lot of those black people vote Republican. And not picking South Carolina would be racist. The only question was whether not picking Nevada would be just as racist, more racist, or slightly less. These are the problems these nitwits on the left have to worry about. How about not being racist at all? Quote, if South Carolina gets quietly bumped after one cycle of convenient praise, that sends a message louder than any speech at a Democratic dinner. The gratitude was performance, not policy, Al Not So Sharpton warned. The DNC juggled two races until it decided that black people were the most important. And so South Carolina will host the first state primary. Latinos were the second most important. So Nevada will go second. And white people were the least important. So New Hampshire would go third. And they want your vote. Vote for us. We think you're third best. Latinos, however, get a consolation prize with a fourth place spot for New Mexico, while fifth place goes to the all-important demographic of Hamas supporters in Michigan. You got to love this writer. New Hampshire Democrats still can't move their primary, which means that if 2024 repeats itself, they'll just conduct the primary on schedule, and Biden will win again with the write-in vote. Apart from potentially setting up an AOC presidency as the most high-profile Latina and leftist candidate, she could potentially win 4 out of 5 primary states and seal the deal. The primary calendar, please. The primary calendar is a useful metric for bringing the racial ugliness of the Dems out into the open. A statement by DNC leaders bragged that this was, quote, the most diverse calendar Democrats have ever had for an open nominating contest. Who gives a shit? And the official site ranked the calendar based on the number of the 4.6 million black people, 4.2 million Latinos, and the 1.4 American Asians who live in the early window states. Sorry, Asian Americans, you'll need more votes if you want to rank. Only 4 out of 49 of the DNC's rules and bylaws committee members backed New Hampshire for the top spot, while South Carolina scored 26 and Nevada took home 19 votes. Iowa also wants an early state, but deemed excessively white. That's the white man factory. Wasn't even on the table. Can you believe a major political party's doing this? Democrats in New Hampshire and Iowa are discovering that discovery means no white people. Diversity means no white people. Under the new primary calendar, the racial makeup of the first 4 early window states drops from distinct white majority to 57% or so, ensuring that minority voters play a much larger role in picking the party's nominee. In reality, this really means that political bosses like Representative Clyburn and the network of minority outreach voter outreach groups, often leftist nonprofits and powerful unions, will be doing the actual picking. Much like 2024, diversity is just a human shield for rigging the primaries by putting political machines and organizers in charge of manufacturing the vote block. So there you go. The Democrats are saying, screw the white people. Actually, where are we at? It's great. Somewhere in between. Yeah, somewhere in between. Right. After the panic, I put my foot down and refused. Youngest two, complicity in getting the jab. Yeah, I would never get it either. That's great, Linda. I'm glad you stood your ground. Oh, what did I miss that Linda said? Anyway, Pam, sorry for your loss. Oh, I really appreciate that a lot. Let's see what's going on. See, I don't read enough of these attack day 2 that are horrific. They begged. Oh, it's not. Yeah, that sucks. Anyway, hold the phone. Let's see something. Oh, wow. Hold on. Let's see. Oops. 2 people. Yeah, it's kind of weird. He changed over the years. I'll show that in a little bit. Sorry, talking to myself. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Shut up. We had so many arguments about vaccine passport. Yeah, all that crap. And you know what that whole thing was, guys? What I believe COVID was? It was they were preparing for a Brave New World type situation, I believe. The Nancy Pelosi's and her ilk, they truly believe that they should be like during the medieval time, well, after the medieval times in Europe, where you had people that got lots of money from the king, right? And they were so wealthy with their stipend that they didn't have to work. So what they did is they just sat around all day and studied literature and painted and shit like that. That's what they believe, right? And yet all the little people in their village had to work their asses off to make sure that they had that kind of lifestyle, right? That they were taken care of. And that's what they want. That's what they wanted here. And so COVID, I believe, was the beginning of their, we're going to teach Americans how to obey. That's what I think it was. I'm probably wrong. I'm wrong a lot, but I think that what they were doing is they were teaching the American people to obey. You had to go 6 feet, which according to Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci, they just pulled that square out of their ass. They admitted it. They said, yeah, we had no idea. We just, let's make it 6 feet. Right. And so I can't believe they admitted that, but and that, and wear your mask. You know, they arrested a guy in California that was surfing alone. No one was on the beach. He was surfing without a mask. They arrested his ass. I mean, come on. They were trying to teach everybody, shut your church down, right? We don't care about the First Amendment, right? We don't care about your rights. We just don't. You know, we have to do this to save the children that we're going to harm by making them not go to school and making them learn through their computer screen, right? So that's what I think the whole COVID thing was. 52 years upon non-citizens donate to politicians. All right, let's look up Kamala. Let's see what Kamala is up to. I think she's still ahead. Can you imagine? So, wow, look at all these. Jeez, that's worse than my website. All right, so Kamala Harris buys $8 million. Oh, God, it covers up. Kamala Harris buys an $8 million mansion in 94% white California neighborhood. All right, so, well, she's not black, so I don't, you know. Former Vice President Kamala, fact check her, she's not. What is she? She's Indian, and what's the other thing? Guys, help me out. She's half Indian, Kamala Harris. Half Indian, not Jamaican, right? Obey, the strangest sound of the word in English. Obey. I was a bad girl. I'll bet you were a bad girl. I went against the arrows at the grocery. Yeah. That's like, well, you remember Pee Wee Herman? I went to prison. What'd you do? Well, you know those tags on a mattress that say do not remove under penalty of law? Yeah. Well, I cut one of them off. That was great. Okay. Former Vice President Kamala Harris has built much of her political career Heels Up Harris has built much of her political career around addressing racial disparities in housing and emphasizing the importance of Black communities. But her newly purchased California home sits in one of the state's least racially diverse neighborhoods. That's like Obama giving the speech about climate change, saying the oceans will rise, and he buys beachfront property at Martha's Vineyard. They don't believe any of this bullshit, right? Harris's new 4,000 square foot residence, reportedly purchased for $8.15 million, is located in the exclusive Point Dume community overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The property features ocean views, multiple wine refrigerators. She needs multiple wine refrigerators, private golf greens, and parking for 5 vehicles. Okay. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, Point Dume falls within census tract 8004.8, whatever that means, which is estimated to be approximately 94% white and 0.2% Black as of 2019. Well, there goes the neighborhood, right? Oh, look at this on the sidebar here. Oh, Cory Bush is plotting a return to Congress. Great. Harris previously spoke about the importance of Black communities, of course. Harris has frequently discussed how attending Howard University shaped her understanding of Black identity and growing up in predominantly white environments. You know that Donald Trump in his first term, he took the Black colleges, right? And he, I forget the acronym, but he took the Black colleges. And they used to, and he said this, he said they used to have to go and pretty much beg for money from Congress. They had to sit in a hearing. It was all televised. Well, we need money, right? He said, why should they have to do that? So he literally built into the budget every year that they would get an increase, and they would get the grant and an increase every year so that they have some freaking dignity, right? Kamala, her Howard University was one of them that received that privilege, right? And she still trashed him as a racist with universities. Quote, when you're at a historically Black, that was it, HBCUs, that was it. When you're at a historically Black college or university, and especially one with the size and the history of Howard University, and also in the context of also being in D.C., which was known forever as being Chocolate City, it just becomes about you understanding that there is a whole world of people who are like you, Harris told the Washington Post in 2019. And what the hell is going on here with this Vietnam chick? Nice upgrade. It was, quote, it was more for me about the numerosity than it was the diversity. I grew up in a community where there were many representations of diversity. Where, in Canada? That's where you grew up. Going to Howard, there were so many Black people, and they're all in your age group, in your phase of life. The decision to purchase a home in Point Dume has drawn attention because of Harris's long-standing emphasis on racial representation and community. In 2025 review of the area, 2 non-white surfers argued that access to Point Dume's beaches remained difficult for minority communities. The Black people don't know how to get in. Is that what they're saying? Despite the veneer of they don't know how to get IDs, despite the veneer of a laid-back Black community of surfers, who are one with nature, there are barriers to access to keep the BIPOC people away. Housing policy was a central part of her political career. Harris has also faced recurring scrutiny over how she presented her racial identity throughout her political career. During her 2020 presidential campaign, critics questioned her emphasis on her claimed African-American identity, given her Indian and Jamaican heritage and her upbringing in relatively affluent, predominantly white communities. I think both her parents were college professors, weren't they? You know, they were doing all right. Before she ran for vice president in 2020, Harris had always identified as Indian American. All right, because you get more grant money. However, after joining Joe Biden's ticket, Harris started identifying as Black. Okay, insert jokes here, right? The issue resurfaced during the 2024 presidential campaign when then candidate Donald Trump accused Harris of emphasizing different aspects of her background for political purposes. And they tried to turn that around on Trump, but everybody went, she's doing it. Harris also faced criticism for frequently identifying herself with Oakland, despite spending much of her childhood neighboring Berkeley before later moving to Montreal with her mother as a teenager. In Montreal, Harris was raised in one of the wealthiest and most exclusive neighborhoods in North America. Her husband, Doug Emhoff, is white. That's all you need to know. We don't need to read any more of this nonsense. Let me see. What's this? Stories prove her great grandfather. Yeah, it was a slave trader. Yeah, and I think it was on both sides of her family too. They were slave traders. You can't make this stuff up. Oh, you just can't. Let me see. Parody. Oh, here we go. This is going to be good. Yeah, this is good. Okay. All right, we're going to watch this now. This is pretty good. The TDS parody of Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast, 1991.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 47th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, accompanied by First Lady Mrs. Melania Trump.
Here we go.
I got Trump, bro.
Got to pause it for about 30 seconds so we don't get dinged. I think it's pretty good. So we got, the Raging Cajun. You remember him during the Clinton years? Who was he talking about? I think it was Bob Dole. Bob Dole wants to poison your children with cigarettes. I hate his guts. Where's my gumbo? That was the Raging Cajun back then. Here we go.
But we can't.
I'll just end with this. I would rather stick forks in my eyes than be here tonight to listen to Donald Trump.
I got Trump derangement syndrome. And you know what? I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. I want to hate him more. I pray to God in heaven, God, brain, the righteous brain of Trump derangement syndrome. Pray for me, Lord. I'm your vessel on this earth. Pray for the people that listen to this. We want more. We want to hate the son of a bitch so much that we can't see straight.
Count by count, one by one. They said guilty, still he won. Yet no matter what we do, he's still the press. Next time we've got to rig it, but for now we're trying it. TBS. TBS. TBS.
Awesome. That was fun. I don't care who you are. That's funny. Okay. Hold on. Shut up. I love when they just pop up. Okay. I'll probably have to burn that out of the video later on. Let's do this one. Guys want an Epstein update? Let's do that. Epstein files bombshell.
There is a roadmap to exposing Epstein's network that no one is talking about. And it's not in DOJ's Epstein files. It's in the case of former U.S. Virgin Islands Attorney General Denise George. Yep. In 2025, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer asked for this case file. Yet I've seen no indication that Congress ever got the complete file or released it to the public, which begs the question, why not? George followed the money. She traced millions of dollars in cash withdrawals and payments to Epstein's co-conspirators, recruiters, and victims, wire payments to young women in Lithuania and Russia, funding a modeling agency in Jean-Luc Brunel, who was charged with raping minors, credit card transactions for Epstein's accomplices and victims. As a former SDNY Criminal Division Deputy Chief who prosecuted sex trafficking cases, I can tell you that's exactly the kind of evidence used to build a criminal sex trafficking case. George called Epstein's lawyer, Darren Indike, and accountant Richard Kahn indispensable captains of Epstein's criminal enterprise. George's evidence in her civil cases was compelling enough to win her massive multi-million-dollar settlements from the Epstein estate, J.P. Morgan, and billionaire Leon Black. Which brings us to the $64,000 question. Where is the evidence now? It's in the custody of the current Virgin Islands Attorney General Gordon Ray.
Yep.
That is shocking. Why? Because Ray was the defense attorney for Epstein's accountant, Richard Kahn.
There you go.
Yes, the Virgin Islands governor, Albert Bryan Jr., fired George and replaced her with an attorney for one of Epstein's alleged co-conspirators. According to George, Bryan fired her after she refused his demands to end her Epstein investigation quickly and let this go. But ready for this? There's another copy of George's case file. In 2023, George went to the FBI. She told the FBI that a copy of her case file was at the Washington, D.C. law firm Motley Rice. Today, George is a DOJ prosecutor in the Virgin Islands. Her boss is Todd Blanche. But Blanche can't stop her from testifying about the work she did before she got to DOJ. Congress must subpoena Denise George. Congress also must subpoena the Virgin Islands Attorney General and Motley Rice for both the case file and for testimony from Motley Rice's lawyers, investigators, and forensic accountants. They can identify Epstein's co-conspirators, explain the evidence, and highlight new leads. Congress can find the truth here. The question isn't whether there's a roadmap to exposing Epstein's network. There is. It's whether anyone is willing to follow it.
Exactly. Exactly right. Louis, thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Let's see. That was hysterical. Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Let's see. Baby Trump channel now includes Baby Fauci. Yeah, I saw that. Also, Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, he's in a lot of them too. They're starting to morph it over to they don't like Kennedy because he talks a lot, but he's funny. Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, they released 3 million files already. Yeah, there's 3 million pages that they did release, but there's some you're never going to see. I just never got angry about it, because I knew that. I knew, and then you got the lib nuts that the only thing they hold on to on Facebook groups where I beat the hell out of them every day verbally. You got them saying, he's a pedo. I'm like, yeah, with absolutely no evidence. He's in the Epstein files. And yeah, your mom's probably in there too if she was mentioned. So that's how you get in the Epstein files. If they send an email, hey, did you check out Whoopi and Behar, what they said? Now they're in the Epstein files. Yeah, they were porking little kids, right? Yeah, okay. Ooh, I couldn't imagine. Poor kids. But anyway, let's see what's next. I'm gonna share the big screen right here. So let's see. His intelligence chiefs back Trump? No. Schiff? No. Fauci? No. NBA stick? Yeah, we did that. Rand Paul afterthoughts? No. Judicial Watch? No. We'll get to them later. Yeah, that guy, he got, wow. Welcome to socialism. Is it going to open up? Yes, it is. Okay. Welcome to socialism. A Clinton hands stark warning about Mamdani. Democratic strategist Mark Penn during the wee hours Wednesday morning to warn the public about the lie of socialism represented by New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, but it's really a cry for help over what's happening to his party. Before we get to that, however, you need to understand just what a colossal screw-up Mamdani's PA tax, whatever it is, it's a tax on filthy rich people, all right? Really is, because if what Penn says is correct, and apparently it is, it's a colossal screw-up by design. And oh so bitter taste of what New Yorkers are stuck with for the next 3.5 years. In a piece headline, Welcome to Socialism, Penn wrote that Mamdani's administration, with fanfare, released I heard of this. Released a list, get this, guys, 960,000 owners of real estate, in other words, landlords in New York City that have been determined they could owe the tax because New York City computers have determined they own what was billed as a market value of $5 million or more. So far, so socialist, right? But Penn added, quote, there are only about 1 million residential tax lots in New York City. So the first question is, how did virtually every owner get put on that list? Now think about this, guys. Lists like that, and if you think Mamdani doesn't know that, lists like that, the left uses that army that they have that always goes out, right? They use that to threaten these people. He doxed them. He gave their names and addresses. Like, holy crap! Can you imagine if Trump did something like that? But he did that like I think 2 months ago. With like one of the richest guys in New York. He was literally outside his building saying, now I'm going to tax him. And yada, yada. He specifically picked him. And the guy said, fine, we're going to move all our operation down to Miami. We don't have to stay here. And that guy gave like over $800 million over the years, gifted to New York City. All right. And so now Mamdani wants to take, what was it like? It was like a 10% tax or something, maybe 2%. Still, that's a lot of money. You're worth $100 billion. That's a lot of money they're taking from you. So this guy's, well, he's the canary in the coal mine. And I think that it's not working for them because people are getting really pissed. So welcome to socialism. Indeed, quote, the answer is that you are subject to the tax in the first 2 years if your property has a DOF valuation of over $1 million. And so the 5 million figure was a fake, Penn concluded. But here's where we got to what Penn called the interesting part, with understatement he must have choked on. Once you are on the list, you have to prove you should not be taxed by showing you are a resident or by challenging the valuation. So in other words, owning the property and paying taxes on it is no longer, well, no. We could put homeless people in there if you don't live in there. That's what they're thinking. Good luck fighting the city bureaucrats on both of these counts. The individual litigation will be massive. Socialism always starts with soak the rich, but always ends with stick it to everybody. Mamdani is notable only for his speed. But here's what Penn missed in his piece. The New York Post reminded readers on Monday that Mamdani threatened to raise city property taxes by a staggering 9.5% in February unless he was allowed to tax the rich to cover a $12 billion budget gap that was later revised down to 5.4. Now, he claims that he's the one that cut it down. He's the one that spent the $12 billion. He doesn't want to admit to that. Oh, I knocked $12 billion down to 5.5. No, he was the one that spent that. That $12 billion was his bullshit in the beginning of his term. The good news is that the whole of New York City's budget got revised downward by more than $6 billion. The bad news is that City Hall estimates the Pierre de tax, whatever, would yield 500. The only French I know is we surrender. Would yield 500 million per year. The worst news is that Democratic City Comptroller Mark Levine's office said the real figure could be closer to $340 to $380 million. And the worst news is that critics of the tax say that it could cause property values to plummet. That means people are going to sell to get the hell out. I mean, think about it. They had the balls to do that no rent increase, right? How about that? Like a rent freeze. They tell people that own a building for a business that you can't raise the rent, but your costs of operation are going to go up every year. We don't give a shit. That's what happened in California pretty much with their electricity. They told the electric companies out there, well, you can't charge any more money to the people. They're like, what do you mean? You can't raise prices, the rates. You can't do it because I got to get reelected, right? And so like the first year or two, they tightened their belts, right? Then they started getting rid of people that, one guy could do two of their jobs, in the offices and whatnot. And then finally they were like, fuck it, we can't do it. So they started like leasing from Arizona. And I think maybe New Mexico, but they started leasing. And then they started, like, after 2 years of doing that, buying electricity from outside states. Then they tried to tell those states, well, you can't raise your prices anymore. And they're like, screw you, we're done. and that's how the Terminator got into office, if you remember. So he says, add a tax of 4 to 6%. Yes, condos are taxed that high now a year if it's DOF value to condo or coop co-op. And that condo won't be worth that much, Penn explained. And you can forget about out-of-town buyers. So this will destroy much of the home values that people have built up. Mamdani's brand of socialism is taxing everybody for unrealized gains on properties whose value Mamdani will destroy. Nifty, eh? See, that unrealized gains, that's a wealth tax, right? And you know who's in that? The one that's against giant corporations. Chief crazy bitch Elizabeth Warren. Right, she's for a wealth tax. The wealth tax is every single year. If they put like a 5% wealth tax on you, okay, so you got to pay 5% of all your wealth that was already taxed to begin with, and then the next year you got to do 5%. So think about that. If they do what she wanted was on everybody. At first they go, only on millionaires and yeah, but then it hits everybody. So if your house, right, if your house is worth, say, just $300,000, right? And you bought it for $100,000. So they want to tax you, 5% on $200,000 that's not a cap gain yet because you didn't get that money. So you got to sell everything you have, all your stocks and everything, just to come up with that kind of money. You're like, oh, thank God I was able to pay it. Now, next year, you got to pay 5% again, and the value of your home probably went up. So it's even more of the cap gain that you didn't realize. That's what these assholes on the left want to do to you. He's also the fresh new face of a Democratic Party that has grown so corrupt and stands for so little that Democratic socialists in cities like New York have taken to wearing it like a skin suit. They even boast about it. And the most that even an old Clinton hand like Penn can do is whine about it on X. So the initial burst of the tax, Schadenfreude, what a Schadenfreude, German word for taking pleasure in somebody else's misery, right, was over Mamdani supporters like Anna Wintour, Woody Allen, is he still alive? And Cynthia Nixon, that lesbian chick that was on the Sex and the City show, finding themselves on his enemies of the people list. But today I'm standing in a puddle of my own Schadenfreude as top-level Democrats like Penn come to realize just how badly the DSA takeover of their party is going to hurt them. I said that in the beginning of this stream. It's killing them. And you know what? Thank you. Hey, what's up, Budgie? Budgie Burger. Good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while. How you been? This guy's quite possibly one of the funniest guys in streams. I've been reading your stuff over on 40s streams. Let's see. What is this? Warren's native name is Walking Eagle. It's too full of shit. Well, I thought it was Chief Spreading Bull. Yeah. Guten Tag. Guten Tag. That's funny. I think I have Sheldon Freud. Yeah, Sheldon Freud. Let's see. Let's do this one. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is going to be good. Hold on. Let's bring this up. This chick destroys communism. Here we go.
I think communism is on the rise, and what do you think about communism?
I think communism sells. It's such a simple idea and message. It obviously doesn't work at all, but it's something that you could so easily say to a young, naive college person or young person in general. You can say everything should be free and healthcare should be free and universal and education should be free, but people don't really understand the ramifications behind that statement. And this is nothing new. People have been trying to sell the idea of socialism and communism for years and years and years. I mean, obviously in pre-Soviet Russia, you had communism. That's where a lot of it started. You had the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks, and the Mensheviks were kind of like your mainstream run-of-the-mill Democrat, and then you had the Bolsheviks. This was way back in like the 1800s, 1900s, and the Bolsheviks came in. They were kind of like the DSA activists of today, and they said, well, the Mensheviks and the Democrats aren't being radical enough, and they aren't promising you all the things.
They're the ones that went into the government office buildings and shot everybody and then sat at their seat and cleaned things off and started typing.
Things that we're promising you, we can give you free education and universal health care and all of these great things, and then they never deliver. So that happened back in the day. It's just like a recurring ideology. History is a big fat circle, and it's happening again because it's such an easy thing to sell, but it's never worked. It didn't work in Russia or the Soviet Union or China or Venezuela. Communism never works, but it's such an easy idea to try to convince people to vote others in with. So I hope that people read, because those who know history do not repeat it. So we just have to teach kids why it doesn't work.
And click right here to see what happened.
I said that like a while ago, that our job now is to teach young people that, look, they've been telling you a lie, that you think you're going to get a lot through socialism because some other guy is going to pay for it. No, you're going to pay for it. You are going to pay for it. There's no such thing as free money. It doesn't happen. You know, it's like all debts are paid, right? And they always are. And it just is a matter of who pays it. Yeah. Big fat circle. Exactly. You're funny, Linda. Let me see. What else is here? Here we go. I like this guy. Representative Gill. Here, watch this. There we go.
What is Latina power?
What is Latino power?
Latina power.
Latina power would be the forces derived from being a Latina.
Do you think that it's appropriate for the Smithsonian Institution to sell Latina power paraphernalia? Hats, mugs, other things that say Latina power?
I believe that the merchandise our store sells.
I'm asking you if it's appropriate.
Tries to reflect the richness of the communities.
So your testimony is that it is appropriate?
Those are your words, sir.
I'm asking you, is it appropriate to sell Latina power paraphernalia? It's a yes or no question.
I don't have control over what is sold.
I'm asking you if it's appropriate. I didn't ask you if you have control over it. Is it appropriate?
Sir.
Yes or no?
Again, we strive to represent all Americans and including.
Is it
in our
appropriate? Yes or
merchandise.
no?
We strive to represent all Americans in our
We're gonna
museums, including in our merchandise.
Is that right?
Yes.
Time.
Guys, that would be me if I was down there.
Thank
I
you,
would have
sir.
so much fun. I would have so much fun doing that. Yeah, he just destroys them. You gotta love it. Yeah, so right now, we did the story earlier on Spain, but right now, Spain's on fire. I got another story, but here's a video. They're setting Spain
This
on
is
fire.
big. This is still a developing story. Spain is literally being invaded right before our eyes, and there's only one person to blame. Watch this virtue signaling video of Peter Sanchez. Listen to this. This is the direct result of his policies of compassion, which is not purely out of compassion. He's got a vested interest in that because he thinks that these people are going to vote for him.
Right.
Some say we've gone too far, that we're going against the current. But I would like to ask you, when did recognizing rights become something radical?
Yeah, he recognized their rights. Look, and they're storming.
They're storming the
in.
beaches, yeah.
I've got some videos to show you. They're chanting Allahu Akbar on the beaches, on the streets. They've already started breaking down into houses of Spanish citizens. It's stuff of nightmares, guys.
Allahu Akbar, we're going to kill you. Do you guys know what Allahu Akbar really means? The press gets it wrong every frickin' time. They say it means God is great. That's not what they're saying. That's not what they're saying. They're saying Allah is greater. And what do they mean by that? Well, the one side, well, you have the Sunnis and the Shiites, right? Well, they believe that if Israel is nuked first, then Allah is greater than the Christian Jewish God, right? But they also believe that if Mecca or Medina is destroyed first, they believe the Al Qaeda guys believe this. Their number two, who was a medical doctor, the guy right under Osama, he wrote a book about it. He said, people want to know what we think. Here's what we think. And so they believe that if Mecca or Medina, either or, right, is destroyed first, then Allah is not greater. They will give up Islam and become a Christian or a Jew. That's a fact. They wrote that shit down. Right. So when they say Allahu Akbar, they're saying God is greater. My God is greater than yours. He'll destroy your God. And that's why they have something behind it. They're like, yeah, it's very aggressive. But the press likes to say that it means something else, that it doesn't.
Empathy becomes something exceptional. Spain is above all a welcoming country. And this is the path we choose: dignity, community, and justice.
Wow. So that has resulted in this. The local authorities have completely lost control and they are begging Madrid to intervene, send in the military. Watch this video. This is from the local government of Kyoto.
Voy a dar lectura al acuerdo adoptado en el día de hoy por la Junta de Portavoces, un acuerdo que ha sido adoptado por unanimidad de todos los portavoces. Dice así. La Junta de Portavoces, en reunión extraordinaria.
There's more, guys. There's more. Look at this guy.
Knife?
This guy literally on camera says he's a murderer. He's wanted for murder in Morocco. So he thought, Spain, I've come to Spain.
Ali, ¿por qué no te quedas en Marruecos? ¿Por qué decides venir?
Sorry, it's in Spanish, obviously. I'm just going by the caption.
Right.
I have seen that caption on other accounts as well. There you go. Cars are being set on fire.
That are allowed to come in, right? And now they're setting cars on fire already.
Look at that. Cars are being set on fire near Spain's Melilla enclave as unrest spreads along the border. Reports describe Moroccan migrants burning vehicles near the frontier of Melilla, Spain's other north half.
Try that in a small town in the United States.
Took an enclave. It follows the surge at Kyoto, where more than 1,500 people swam around the barrier in a single day, and local officials declared a migratory emergency. Why is that happening, guys? Why is that happening?
Thank you for welcome. We're going to set you on fire.
We have no confirmed reports on injuries, arrests, or the scale of the fires. But it is happening. Look at that. Jesus. Look at that. Look, these people are going to... Where are the women and children?
Everyone
These people
into
are gonna
the pool,
get bored of
right?
playing with their hands. And then, they're going to grab any woman they can.
Yep.
I saw a woman welcoming them. She might fall into their hands too. Look at this. Nigel Farage has actually made a statement too. Let's watch.
It's time to wake up, everybody. No, I really mean it. Just have a look at these scenes. This is happening today in Quetta, the Spanish enclave in North Africa. Yep, it is Spanish territory. Tens of thousands, maybe more, breaking in to that little part of Spain. The authorities seemingly powerless to act. And yes, of course, they've declared a state of emergency. Bear this in mind. Earlier this year, Spain gave an amnesty to 500,000 people who'd illegally got into the country. The messages from Spain are clear.
Exactly.
You know, come in and you'll be allowed to stay.
And the Supreme Court doubled down on that. It said you cannot stop the boats, and you cannot, anyone who enters a Spanish enclave or a Spanish
There's got to be money behind it for them, just like there was when they went into England, into London, right? There's got to be money behind
territory or even the mainland. You cannot send them back. That's the Supreme Court's order.
How could any country say that? We have judges here. Look, I'm not saying, we don't have idiots in charge. We have judges here that told the Trump administration to tell a plane to turn around mid-trip instead of taking the guy down to El Salvador, because their president said, yeah, we'll take him. He's got that great prison system down there for all the gangs and whatnot, right? How could people who are supposed to have the best interests of the citizens that they serve, how could they do this to you? How? That's why we all went freaking nuts when warm diarrhea brains Joe Biden was out there, when he was bringing in up between 15 and 20 million people in 4 years' time. People go, it's more like 7 million. Oh, that's better. Please. Right? So how is this possible that you have them because they're electing the wrong people? What's up, Charlie? Yeah, you're right, Jimmy. How equals money. Yeah. Yeah, I watched now I'm not a fan of Tucker anymore, but I watched his documentary on what was going on in Europe, and wow, they're making a shit ton of money off this stuff. It's just crazy. They were the Moroccans were trucking them to the jump off side of that pissy little seawall. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but from what I got out of Tucker's thing is that they arrive in Spain, and Spain literally has a system where they somehow they get on a train. They get off the boat and then they get taken on a train and they come up to this one part of Spain, and they literally in the cement, they painted footsteps. They go follow the footsteps, and it takes them down to a building down the street, and they go in there and they get ready to go. What do you know what's going on with him? He's a lunatic now. He's like lost his mind. And what's called he's not as bad as Candace, but he's getting there. He's not as bad though. But Linda says hello. Yeah. All right. Let's back to this.
They're ruling.
Nigel and then
Some of you might remember a poster I put out 10 years ago called Breaking Point, where I showed vast numbers illegally breaking into the European Union. I made the point that if we vote for Brexit, we'll have the power to stop those people coming here. And sadly, the Tories failed us. Labour have failed us. Believe me, unless we get a reform government, those scenes
that's Nigel. Get a political message out while
you're seeing in Spain today, many of those young men, lots of them dangerous, will be heading towards Calais and coming to our country too. It is time to wake up. This is a battle for the future of our civilization.
The Italian government have they've already released a statement, and they've said that they are looking to cancel their Schengen agreement with Spain of free movement of people, because all these fresh Spaniards, Italy is saying we are already enriched. We don't want any more enrichment. They are getting enriched by the Syrians, by the Middle Easterns. They don't want to get enriched by the North Africans. Actually, they were North Africans too.
Yeah, enriched. That's enough of that. Crazy town, huh? Let's see. Waking up Alan Richardson. All right. Let me do one of mine. What do we got? Vote low. All right, let's bring the next one up. What are we going to find here? Let me go up to the tippy top, right? Well, maybe not the tippy top. But let's see. Anthony Fauci, things are worse. Fifth Amendment. Yeah, this one's. Is this the one? Did we do this already? I don't. Yeah, we did that one. So forget that. Let's go back. Social and capitalism, college campus. No. Fauci right now. Is this one? Oh, yeah, this one's been going out. Let me see. Is it going to show? Yeah, this is they got Fauci in, but this was like the original. It's with Dave Chappelle, I believe. Here we go.
Plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, 5. Go ahead, ask me a question. Did you? 5. I have a secret document that I think you need to say.
That's funny. They got one of Fauci in there with the same voice. World War Z. Yeah, it's the real World War Z. The zombies come and they demand that you give them everything. It's crazy. My UK friends will appreciate this. Yep. And you will. Oh, this is guys, for my UK friends here. And where the hell are all my UK friends today? They're not here, but this is good. So let me make sure I get rid of that. Here you go. Let me bring that up. Wait a minute. What the hell? POV, self-defense, share screen. I think it's that one. Yeah. Ready? Here we go.
Okay, let me see if I've got this right. So he petrol bombed your house straight through the top window where my kids sleep. And then he kicked the door down and come at you with a knife, was it?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, and after that?
So I got the missus to take the little ones out the back, tried to wrestle the knife off him, smashed him over the head with a candle. Thank God they finally come in useful. Then tied him up and waited for you lot to arrive.
Right. Okay, I'm going to need you to come down to the station with me, sir.
Yeah, no dramas, mate. What's that? Give another statement or something?
No, nothing like that. You're actually nicked.
You what?
So you've just held somebody against their will in your house, and if I had to guess, you're also probably racist.
He's white.
Yeah, but you still probably are racist somehow. Dave, check his Facebook. Also, you just admitted to a rather serious assault on what is quite clearly an innocent, vulnerable man struggling with his mental health.
What was I supposed to do?
Well, if you were a decent member of society, you'd have let that poor innocent man slaughter you and your family, wouldn't you? Like a good citizen. None of this fighting back shit. Ideally with a smile.
Yeah, but he's on my property.
Obviously, you just wanted a friend.
He kept screaming, I'm going to cut you into pieces.
Clear cry for help that you blatantly ignored.
Is this a prank? Are you taking a piss?
That is considered verbal assault against a police officer. That with the other charges, you're looking at about 10 to 12 years. Now, my partner Davey's going to untie the victim, all right, while you go and tell your family that they need to sell this house you've worked for your whole life so they can cover legal costs.
No, don't untie him. He's going for the knife again.
Stop or I will taser you.
Thank you. Finally. Are you pointing that at me?
You can go, mate. Sorry about him. No, stop stabbing him. You're safe now. Justice. Okay, let me see if I've got this right. So he petrol bombed.
That's about right. Don't you think? Meanwhile, not content with the ISIS brides, we're bringing the men in Iraq prisons back to reunite them with the spawn of Satan. In bed, I would reckon. Okay. Let's see. What else am I going to show? Florida AG James, how Bill Gates. Socialism hits the shelves. Here we go. Mom Donnie again. He's everybody's favorite socialist, right? So socialism hits the shelves. So here we go. There he is. last November, I wrote, who is this? Might as well give his name. Ashley Evdokimo. Okay. Last November, I wrote that Zohran Mamdani's mayoral win, New York City, would become the place where the Make America Healthy Again movement goes to die. Looking back, I underestimated just how quickly his version of government would begin to materialize. Because this week, Mamdani announced the first location of his taxpayer-funded grocery store initiative, a plan to create government-backed grocery stores across New York City with prices set below the private market. What could go wrong, right? This is something we've seen fail time and time again in real life, yet Mamdani says it's something he believes will work. You know why? Because government has never-ending fun. They don't have to care. That's why when government gets involved in things that the private sector does, it just screws everything up. Because you can't compete with a machine that has no end of money, because they're going to tax the living shit out of you anyway, right? Says, well, folks, I also believe I'm going to win the lottery every time I buy a ticket. But alas, my belief has yet to turn into reality. Funny how that works, right? And while the headlines are about groceries, groceries aren't actually the story here. Government is. On the surface, the proposal sounds compassionate. Lower prices, cheaper groceries, and help for struggling families. Just in time to pull that lever in the voting booth, right? Who could possibly oppose that? But beneath the marketing is a much bigger question. When did government stop being the safety net and decide it should become the business? Exactly. America already has an extensive network of food assistance programs. SNAP that goes to illegals, WIC that goes to illegals, school lunch programs probably goes to illegals, food banks, churches, private charities, and community organizations. If someone genuinely cannot afford food, there are already numerous public and private programs designed to help. Yeah, nobody starves in America. If you starve in America, you want to starve in America. And since those programs already exist, why are taxpayers now being asked to spend $70 million to open government-backed grocery stores? That's the question some people don't seem interested in or even comfortable asking. Because this isn't about filling a gap. It's about replacing something that already exists and creating more dependency. We don't need more grocery stores. We literally have thousands, with around 33% being categorized as independent grocers. Those are your entrepreneurs who mortgaged their homes, worked impossible hours, hired local families, paid taxes, sponsored little league teams, and took on enormous financial risk. Government didn't build those stores. Americans did. Now imagine spending 20 years building a neighborhood grocery store only to have the government open a competing store. Exactly what I talked about. A competing store down the street. Only this competitor doesn't play by the same rules. This competitor has taxpayer funding, can absorb losses, doesn't pay rent on city-owned property, and when their model doesn't work, the taxpayers cover the difference. Must be sweet. That's not competition. That's the government sandbagging the very people who fund it. Recently, New York Democratic Socialist Party co-chair Gustavo Gordillo dismissed concerns about neighborhood businesses by suggesting that if a single government grocery store could put a business under, perhaps it shouldn't have been in that business in the first place. He should be taken to the woodshed. That statement should alarm every small business owner in America because it reveals something much larger than a grocery store proposal. It reveals a philosophy, one that increasingly views private enterprise not as something to encourage, but as something government can replace. And that's frightening. Supporters insist this is simply about affordability, but affordability has never been the only question. The real question is whether government should become a direct competitor in the marketplace. No, because if government can own grocery stores, why stop there? Government pharmacies, government gas stations, government clothing stores, government restaurants. Where does it end? Well, it ends in Beijing. Government works best when it establishes the rules of the game, not when it decides it should become one of the players. I don't even like when it establishes the rules. History has shown us that government rarely shrinks once it enters a new space. Ronald Reagan said the hardest thing to kill is a government program. He's right. It expands. One program becomes two become 10. Temporary becomes permanent. The grocery store is just the latest example. And that's why this debate matters beyond New York City. It's about the kind of country we're becoming. One where citizens build businesses, or one where government increasingly believes it should become the business itself, slowly consolidating more power over the people that said government is here to serve, not control, serve. This is not just the debate about gross, it's the debate about America. Here. I think so. That's pretty good, actually. Yeah. Food desert incoming. Exactly. Eggs at under $4. Exactly. Yes. Let's see. What's this one? His career is over. Alan Richardson wants political opponents waking up covered in blood. This is the quartering. I like this guy. Says his career is over.
A few good shows on TV that has been put out in the modern era, I thought, was Reacher. I watched probably the first 2 seasons, and I guess I haven't really kept up on it. Not because I didn't like it, but just because life happens.
Yeah.
And there's not one but 2 new video clips where this guy admits that he wants us all basically off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Not just, not just like, hey, I disagree with this guy, but it's that he holds a level of hate for half of the country. Yep. And, I just want people to remember this when, the new season of Reacher comes out and they're like, man, I'm going to watch it. Don't watch it. This guy hates you. And I guess
he's right. I saw it. There was a case where he hit someone with his car. I think it was someone on a bike, and he got out and he started acting like a maniac. The guy that plays Reacher, and Reacher was a great show, by the way, but he acted like a maniac. It's on Prime, if you don't know.
He wants you to know it, and it is just I'm so surprised that we're still doing this in 2026. But screw this guy 100%.
Yep.
I will not pay to see anything he's in. I will not watch any of the television shows he's in. He is everything that is wrong with America. He is about dividing. He isn't about bringing people together. He is about actually fomenting more hate because people voted the way he doesn't like. And he's now tripled down on these insane statements. By the way, new vlog coming out today at 6 Eastern. We're just under 4,000 subscribers. If you just look up quartering vlogs, I think I've got a really, really good one today about scumbag YouTubers and internet friends. I really think you're going to like it. Please go subscribe to the channel. Help us hit 4,000 subscribers. It's linked in the description and the comment and the pinned comment down below. There's only 2 videos a week that go up there, but they evergreen, so you can catch up at any time. Now, let's go to the first interview. Alan Richardson says people should hold on to their anger about oppressors like Trump and the Catholic Church so somebody wakes up in a pool of their own teeth and blood. What?
That's crazy.
I was working with Guy Ritchie on Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and one of my favorite things about working with him is he's an intellectual. He said at one point, he goes, I think everybody should wake up in a pool of their own teeth and blood.
Oh.
At some point in time.
All of us?
He really amped it up. He goes, I think it would make the world a better place if everybody did, right? And I was like at the
what? No.
That's pretty bad.
What? This is like stuff that these liberals say behind closed doors. And I would normally say he's LARPing, but the last 10 years have taught me that he's not. He believes what he said.
I was like, no, that's like such an Old Testament God kind of thing. And like, there's a whole new way of doing things. We should love everybody.
By the way, he is wearing, I think, a $200,000 watch, maybe $200,000 or $300,000. I think that's a Millet. I can't be totally sure, but it looks like it from here.
And he was like so vehemently disagreed.
I could be wrong.
Since that point in time, so many things have happened in my life where I'm like, it would be so much better if everybody woke up. Look at the politics that we deal with right now. Like,
I don't think it is, but it's a very expensive watch.
Like the White House is in ruins. A fucking UFC cage on the lawn, and like
the White House is in ruins because they're building a beautiful, secure place for all future presidents to hold get-togethers.
Yeah, the ballroom.
This building that he's building, because I believe Trump has had now 4 or 5 attempts on his life, is going to secure future Democrat leaders too, right? This is about just keeping the president of your country safe in ruins because they're doing a construction project. Is it in ruins that he fixed the reflecting pool? You know, a monument, a national monument that the last president and the president before, you know, during Obama and during Biden, let that pool just get filled with algae. He fixed that, and that's in ruins.
Like, you just do it. You just do it, and nobody says anything, and no consequences.
What consequences does he want for building a building?
Yeah.
Nobody asked. It wasn't done legally. There's no plan in place. Now you're asking for money.
Nope, he didn't ask for money.
No,
it's privately funded.
It's like, what are we doing? And there's no consequences.
And the best thing is that he's not going to be president when it's done. He'll never get to use that ballroom. But he's doing it because a lot of presidents wanted a ballroom. I mean, why not? You have a lot of people.
Okay, so like, I'm just supposed to let go of my resentment that this guy is just the world that he lives in for whatever gain he personally can have, and I'm supposed to let that go.
Well, I would like you to provide any evidence that he's doing that.
Yeah, they never do.
The brainwash level on this dude is immense. Now, I get it. He's probably auditioning. He wants to be the next Batman. He wants to get his, ridiculous paychecks. But I think this guy's actually a true believer.
And then what? It still exists.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not going to let him go. I hate that still lives in the world, unabated.
Yeah, Obama never built anything.
Unchecked, unresolved, uncleansed. Look at the Catholic Church and like the predatory behavior that is just going completely unmet.
I noticed he didn't, bring up any mosques. I noticed he didn't bring up the not one, not two, not three, but 4 different attacks from members that attend those buildings. Now, I'm not saying the Catholic Church isn't above criticism, but these people never really seem to want to be interested in the big picture of anything. It's just the same old NPC, clown show talking points.
Well, those victims that are still like unheard, unseen, no forgiveness, no resolution, no cure. And
why don't you do something about it? What are you worth? Like $50 million? Why don't you fund an independent investigation?
Yeah.
Why don't you find your own version of Nick Shirley that can get to the bottom of it? And I will stand right next to you and support the prosecution of any of the claims that you are making. Any of them. I would support the full prosecution.
What is releasing resentment going to do for the world? Like, I think we should hold on to some of that anger so somebody gets Guy Ritchie'd and wakes up in a pool of their own teeth and blood.
Somebody gets Guy Ritchie. He means President Trump.
Yeah.
That's what he means.
That's crazy.
By the way, this is a great post by Mike Kobe. There's a persistent internet rumor that the actor who first played Superman, George Reeves, jumped to his passing from a building because he started to believe he was really Superman. It's not true. He passed away from taking his own, but occasionally you'll see actors starting to clearly believe their acting lives will translate from the screen to real life. Steven Seagal, for instance. Alan Ritchson is another one. Yeah, he's a big guy, but he's only an inch taller than me. And while gear will make you stronger and give you more mass, it won't make you a better fighter. This guy's starting to believe he's Reacher, and he's going to come to grief. Mark my words.
That's all we had to watch. Yeah, I like the Quartering. He does a good show. What else can we watch? Let's see. I want to get a couple more in. Let's do KBJ. Let's bring her up. I can't believe she's like the epitome of a DEI hire. Can't make it up. SCOTUS Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson calls for impartiality while appearing on Michelle Obama's podcast. So Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson isn't exactly known for her neutrality. Quite the opposite, actually. She's infamous for using emotional art. Now, guys, this is the woman that I was talking about, Sophie Cunningham. I like her. She stands up to bullies. I like her. Yeah, she's known for writing juvenile rants inside dissenting opinions. Like she does not. In other words, what am I trying to say here? She's not up to the level of what a SCOTUS justice should be. And you'll hear it right here. She's infamous for using emotional arguments in her decisions, for her long-winded, loaded questions. As our Sister Told You report, I love that, Sister Told You, reported in 2025, she often gets under the skin of even the other justices. Quote, "We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself." Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote about Jackson's musings regarding a birthright citizenship case. Barrett's not the only justice who gets frustrated by KBJ's reasoning. Clarence Thomas seethed at her in 2023 for her race-infused worldview, while Samuel Alito deemed one of her dissents baseless and insulting and said her rhetoric lacks restraint. In other words, she just writes what the hell comes up, and it's all based on ideology, left-wing ideology. And a lot of it has no link to reality. All this and more is why it's somewhat jarring to see her talking about the importance of impartiality on a podcast hosted by none other than Democratic deity, the former first man, Michael Obama. How clueless is KBJ? How could she not know that this makes her look highly partisan and biased?
You know, there are lots of limits on what judges can do. And I try to be very, very mindful and scrupulous with respect to that, because, as you say, our obligation is to be unbiased in our approach. And so you have to then
why is she always voting against America with the other 2 clucks?
Navigate all the sources that could make for an appearance of partiality, which you want to avoid. So there are lots of things that I end up not accepting for that reason. News sources, I think, I don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, but I do, the normal general media sources are made available. And I think it's harder when you're talking about, there's so much social media now.
No, this is a whole different
world. It's a
world.
whole different world, and not everything is reliable. And the hardest part for judges is that we really cannot participate.
Probably saving you some brain cells.
Exactly.
But we need you focused on your opinions.
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. All right. So here we go. So let's see what they say about her. During the appearance on Obama, her brother's podcast, IMO with Obama and Craig Robinson, which debuted Wednesday, but was recorded in May. Some of her comments were laugh out loud funny, as they were so completely out of touch with the reality that we see from her in virtually every decision. During an appearance of more than an hour on the podcast, Jackson, a Biden appointee to the Supreme Court, stressed the importance of being unbiased, saying, "You really have to be focused on that." Wow. So even the title of the episode is insulting. Move through the hard times with Ketanji Brown Jackson. It makes it sound like KBJ is a down on her luck lady living on the margins, not someone who was awarded the seat on the highest court in the land. And by DEI. Sorry, just was. Biden said it. The internet was not kind to Biden's pick, whom the former explicitly said was going to be chosen according to her race and gender. He said it's going to be a black woman. He said it. Wow. Ketanji Brown Jackson can't be real. She says it is important to be neutral as a Supreme Court justice, while she is literally on major leftist Michelle Obama's podcast. Make it make sense. Exactly. A lot of limits, right? So let's see. But wait, there's more. Okay, it is written by AI right there. You can tell. She doesn't really expect anyone to believe that, does she? All right, the most public, loudmouth, self-assured judge in the history of the United States wants to lecture us about the dignity of the courts, not the bees Harris Rigby. Let's see. If you listen to Ketanji Brown Jackson on Michelle Obama's podcast, you'll understand why Democrats think women are too dumb to get voter ID. Oh, boy. Appearing on a Love Fest podcast with one of the most polarizing and partisan women in the nation and claiming you're impartial. Does that sound like sound decision making that we should respect? The answer is no. It's always no. Wow. Let's see. We got one. I got one here. It's called The Mailbox. You got to see this. It's great. I don't know if you guys saw it already, but hang on. Let me clip it up. Okay. Here we go. All right. This is fun to watch, actually. Here we go. Ready?
Made my mailbox smaller every day till the mailman noticed. And on day 17, we surprised him with this. It's slightly smaller.
I don't think he's going to notice.
He has to reach down and walk. The closer he gets, the smaller it looks. He doesn't notice. We think he's about to notice, but when he finally does, we're not stopping. We want to see how small it can get before he refuses to deliver the mail. Oh my God, it's so tiny!
It's below the headlight. He's laughing.
I love this.
Yeah!
It's so small now. So he definitely noticed, right?
Yeah. He noticed on this one.
So how small can we go before he stops delivering my mail? Holy tiny.
It's smaller than a tire. Yeah, he's laughing this time.
And they always leave one in there with the flag up. He's doing it.
He's smiling again. Is he going to take a picture? He did!
You gotta love that.
He takes it and delivers. Oh my gosh, it's tiny. Is he going to take the letter? Him delivering regular size mail is one thing, but we can send tiny mail. So we also want to see when he stops taking that too.
How's he going to get it in there?
No way he's taking it. He took the mail. Take the little mail. Okay, just put it in the big delivery box. That's when he stops delivering mail into the mailbox.
When is he going to stop taking the letter out of it, though?
It's becoming
so tiny. There he is.
Is he going to take my mail now?
I knew I should have brought tweezers.
He's been thinking about this.
This is my last shot.
Did he get? He got it.
Yes!
Look at this.
If he takes our tiny mail this time, we'll have no choice but to build a mailbox so big that it's impossible for him to take our mail. Yeah! Oh, he's not going to try? Is it up? The flag's up? Come on, take my mail. Is he going to take it? He brought tweezers! He really brought them! Oh my gosh! All right, it's time for the big one. The Mega Jumbo mailbox. After making these smaller day after day, it was finally time to do the exact opposite and made it so big it would have made any other mailman drive right by. This is the biggest mailbox in the whole world. So we left him a conveniently placed ladder, just in case. He's not actually going to take the mail.
Thank God for the conveniently placed ladder.
He even read the sign. He's really going to do it? No way. Are you kidding me?
He is a legend.
Oh my gosh.
What an amazing mailman.
He's delivering it.
How great was that?
I'm speechless. I made my mailbox smaller every day till the mailman noticed.
That's hilarious. You gotta love that. He took it every single day. Oh man, that's awesome. All right, let's get on with it. No, Fauci right now, no. Sarah Gonzalez says, yeah, here's one. Come on, open up. It's Rumble. So I got to wait for, hold on. Wait for the commercial. Sorry. Here we go. Okay. Let's bring this up. So it's Sarah Gonzalez says Democrats are retarded. Fact checkers. She said, I'm just reading, for wanting to do the things that failed in Europe.
For the federal government to understand we don't need more radical Islamists to come into our country. Let me just point you in the direction of Berlin over the weekend. There was a vehicle that slowed down a crowd at the Berlin Pride Festival, killing someone and injuring 29 other people.
We're Palestine.
And the perpetrator exited his vehicle and began to stab party goers, festival goers, was eventually shot and killed by police. And it turns out, golly, who could possibly be doing this at a Pride festival? I don't know. Who really hates gay people, likes to throw them off of buildings? Oh, it turns out he was a radical Islamist.
Oh, gosh, I would have never guessed.
According to CBS News, the Berlin Pride attacker served less than 2 years in prison for wanting to join ISIS, according to prosecutors. Less than 2 years for wanting to join ISIS. Well, he didn't actually join. I guess he just wanted to. Therefore, it's A-okay. This is Abdul Balaut, a German citizen with Lebanese roots. And this is what happened. The guy was born in Germany, but his parents immigrated there. Like, they were from Lebanon. And even though he was born in Germany, he still hated the country. He hated the Western world. Big surprise there. And wanted to carry out this attack because that's just what happens with radical Islam every single time.
Right.
Every single time. We see it happen over and over in Europe. Why would we want to recreate that?
Right.
Why would we want to do that? And yet this is what the Democrats want for America. There was actually a poll from last month that shows that 57% of Democrats believe the United States would be better if it were more like Europe. If we were just more like Europe, I mean, that's how it goes, isn't it? Like, Europe tries these crazy things, and then a couple years later, we try the same crazy things that Europe was trying that obviously didn't work, was totally disastrous. And the Democrats are so retarded that they're like, yeah, let's just try that. Let's do that. Well, it hasn't worked for them, but it'll definitely work for us. When you look at their immigration policy, that is what is killing Europe right now. Since 2024, Europe has just opened the door to over 4.2 million immigrants. And in nearly all of the European countries, the EU countries, the total number of immigrants from outside the EU in 2024 was higher than the number of immigrants from other EU countries. And with that type of immigration from these third world countries, you get more terror.
Yep. Every single time. It's the one constant, right? The white man designed the car. So, all right. What's next? Let's go down the list. Let me bring it up, share screen. Crazy. Let's see. We did all that. Trump has an incredible Fauci response. Silver lining. Gathered today's Marxist. Spain is falling. We knew that. It's sick. There's a bad. Maybe it'll look even worse. Anthony Fauci, Dem slide. We did Kamala. Shift back candidate. Ted Cruz. Judicial watch. Remove 6,000. Yeah. Yeah. Father who gifted right. Yeah, we didn't want to do that. Trump. Respect. Let's see. The 5 most shocking moments. Let's do this one. Okay. The 5 most shocking moments. New York Post. 5 most shocking moments from Anthony Fauci's Senate COVID testimony. Let's increase it. Dr. Anthony Fauci, former head of NIH and NIAID, stunned Republican senators on Wednesday when he refused to answer. Oh, come on. New York Post. Are you kidding me? Look at all this shit going around. Oh my goodness. All right. So Jesus Christmas. There's too many ads for the dismiss. All right. Start over again. Stunned Republican senators on Wednesday when he refused to answer their questions about the COVID-19 pandemic, the plandemic, by invoking his Fifth Amendment right at the start of the congressional hearing after he made declaratory statements that he didn't want to answer later on. Technically, he should have had his fifth waived, like taken away from him, because you can't do that. Unlike other instances of witnesses taking the fifth, however, That wasn't the end of the proceeding, as GOP and Democratic members of the Senate Homeland Security Committee continued quizzing Fauci for hours. All right, so the Republicans quizzed them. The Democrats kissed his ass that he was some kind of hero. Republicans, led by Chairman Rand Paul, demanded answers on the origins of the pandemic, inconsistencies related to his public remarks on COVID mandates versus his private comments, and his support for the funding of risky gain-of-function research abroad that can make viruses more infectious. Well, it makes them infectious. The gain-of-function makes it so that a virus that would never hit a human allows it to hit a human. Why would anybody in their right fucking mind do that? Well, their answer is, well, we got to be ready, right, in case it ever happens. I mean, it's like a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance that would really happen, right? So we got to put all this money and the risk and okay, all right. Kishmela Tokus, right? Democrats use their time on the dais to reflect on the biased nature of the proceedings, with ranking member Gary Peters from Michigan and others calling out Paul for excluding them from preparations for the hearing and other investigative work by the committee's majority, because let's face it, they're Democrats. They would try everything they could to screw it up, right? That's why. Look at your past behavior. At its conclusion, Paul announced that his committee would begin contempt of Congress proceedings against Fauci next week and question the validity of the sweeping pardon by warm diarrhea brains President Joe Biden granted former White House COVID czar in 2025. Quote, Dr. Fauci isn't liable for anything as long as he tells the truth, even if he admits that he destroyed records on a routine basis, Paul suggested, adding that the ex-NIAID official can't be prosecuted for many of the things that are outside the statute of limitations as well. All he had to do today, if he wanted to testify, was to be honest. As long as he was honest, even about committing a crime, he would have no jeopardy. That's exactly right. But I think the pardon has given him more immunity than most people would ever get, right? And it was done by a staffer with an auto pen. Fauci, in his opening statement before pleading the fifth, had excoriated Paul for having an obvious obsession with him, calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me. Yeah, bullshit. It was on government servers. I said that earlier. It's on government servers. It's not yours. Quote, the only conclusion I can reach, he said, is that the sole reason he is calling me for this committee is to get me to say something, anything that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, behind bars. Yeah, okay. So Fauci took the fifth 111 times, including on CIA funding his agency. Wow. So he teased out the information. Where are the 5? All right. So number 1. Where is it? I don't see a number 1. Oh, 1. Fauci took the fifth 111 times, including the CIA funding his agency. Fauci took the fifth at least 111 times to question that would have teased out critical information about the origins of the COVID pandemic and U.S. funding for gain-of-function research. I just want to see if this is going to give us.
President Biden issued you a sweeping pardon extending back to 2014, the same pardon he gave to his son, Hunter. A pardon may protect a person from criminal prosecution, doesn't rewrite history. It does not erase documents. It does not convert a misleading statement into a truthful one.
Right.
And it does not prevent Congress from establishing what happened. There will be another pandemic. There will be another crisis. And there will again be officials who insist that uncertainty must be hidden for the public's own good. They will demand
I'll do that one
obedience.
next.
They will invoke science. I am the science, as though it were a commandment.
Yeah.
They will argue that government officials cannot be questioned because questioning them would undermine public trust. They have it backwards. It is secrecy that destroys trust. It is arrogance that destroys trust. It
He's
is
talking to Fauci
censorship
right now.
that destroys trust. And it is the refusal to admit error that destroys trust. Dr. Fauci, would you like to at least answer this one question for us today and let us know whether or not you've changed your mind on whether or not the benefits of gain-of-function research outweigh the risks?
Upon the advice of
On
counsel.
the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
The chairman has denied your assertion of privilege and directed you to answer, but you nonetheless refuse and stand on privilege despite the existence of the pardon.
Right.
The committee will have to consider after this hearing what appropriate action should be taken against you for the failure to testify after being directed to do so. It's against the law to obstruct an investigation of Congress. There will be repercussions to your refusal
Yeah,
to
I hope
testify
there are.
today. Senator Peters.
Yeah, that's it. I hope there are repercussions. He had no jeopardy, and yet he claimed the fifth. Hold on. Better funny video for the end. Are we at the end? Yeah, let me see. I don't know. Where's the funny video? I got to find one. Shouldn't be hard. College campus, we did that one. Legacy Media, Angus Cray, full blown TDS mode. Yeah, this is good. If you like the TDS aspect, let me get past the commercial. Here we go. Let me bring this guy up. This woman has just like a real moment. She's a congresswoman, Angie Craig. So watch this. Has a full-blown TDS moment, blaming Trump for black and brown people's problems. And this guy is pretty good.
This right here, Representative Angie Craig,
DeVore
has a TDS moment that deserves our attention.
I looked at the bill at the time. We had just allowed Donald Trump, who is an existential threat to this country, to come in part because voters' perception of America's open borders under the previous administration.
Okay, so America in 2024 allowed President Trump to win the election because of our misguided perception of the border.
Right. Can you believe it?
This Trump administration attacked our black and brown neighbors. It became absolutely clear that although they weren't using that bill in Operation Metro Surge, that any additional authority to the Trump administration was the wrong decision. And I've said that I regret.
So listen, the Trump administration is not attacking black and brown communities.
Right.
Black communities in particular attack themselves in gross numbers, by the way, whether it's the 42% abortion rate, 7 out of 10 kids born out of wedlock, 7 out of 10 kids have single parents. I mean, that's an attack on itself, in my opinion. Okay. I think black people are doing just enough damage to themselves. Okay. The president's not even touching what some of these people are doing. All right. Now, as it relates to brown communities, you know, what's interesting, if you were to actually talk to people who identify as brown or Latino or Mexican, whatever, and these are individuals who actually immigrated to this country, you would find that they're more hawkish on immigration policy than Republicans are. They don't have any patience for illegal immigration because they did it the right way. But of course, someone like her, she won't actually go there and ask those people. At any rate, she gets an F. No.
Yeah, I think I played all the funny ones tonight. Yeah. Let me get let me find another one. Let me say let's go here. Okay, so did we do that? Did we do that? Did we do that? How full grown? Gonzalez's Democrats are retarded. Fauci thing is worse. Kenyan scientific method. The mailbox. UK friends will appreciate this. Fauci's right. Now, all right. Wow, I literally almost read a lot of them. James Tallarico takes another futile stab at his manhood. Yeah, that's good. Let's do this one. So James Tallarico takes another futile stab at proving his manhood by driving a pickup truck. He's in Texas, all right? I think a pickup truck is like, I think it's a law down here. One of the things I look for on Fridays is topics that will send us into the weekend on a lighter note. In some respects, everything about James Tallarico is lighter. But don't make the mistake of taking him lightly. He's got a lot of money behind him paying for things like pickup truck rentals. According to reports, the theater kid running for the U.S. Senate in Texas has been discovered once again as a phony. Tallarico's campaign confirmed that the Dodge Ram 1500 pickup truck he's seen driving in his latest campaign ad is not his. It's a rental requisitioned solely as a prop for this ad.
Across Texas, people are waking up before the sun, working hard, stretching every dollar. I was born to one of those people, a single mom guided by faith who did whatever it took to provide for me. As a teacher, I saw families doing everything right and still falling behind. In the State House, I brought both parties together to lower drug costs and
No, he
cut
didn't.
property taxes.
The lie.
I'm James Tallarico, and
He
I
voted
approve
against
this message because I'll take on corruption and make this economy work for working people again.
You know, it's like Paxton, who's running against him. Every time he puts those things out, he points out, he has the chart that comes up and says, look, the thing he said, he got us together, and he voted against it each time. The guy's like a hack. I'm told that there's nothing Texans like more than a faker. And so I'm aiming to give his voters what they want. Tallarico perhaps sat on a booster seat to get behind the wheel of that Texas-sized pickup for the filming of the ad. Oddly enough, the candidate has previously claimed he actually owns a Chevy Colorado, which for some reason he didn't use for this ad. Since nothing about Tallarico ever pans out to come up with the full truth, I even wonder about his claims of that Chevy truck. It's not a stretch to speculate that the creatives behind the ad totally underestimated what renting a pickup would do to their candidate if word got out about it. It's also not a stretch to presume that they made that creative choice because a bigger truck would make Tallarico look more manly and more Texan, both of which are major challenges for him. Most Texans don't particularly see him as representative of Texas men. Maybe that's why he's been covering his helmet hair of late with a cowboy hat and taking a page out of Pete Buttigieg's playbook by trying to grow facial hair. Look at this. It's totally grassroots picture right there, you know. It wasn't a great week for Tallarico on the manliness front. Tweets of his from Christmas Day 2021 resurfaced where he fangirled over Anthony Fauci. Oh, good. We got it. Look at this. Oh, my God. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot about this. After receiving a Fauci action doll from Santa Claus. Quote, he actually tweeted this. I got the coolest action figure for Christmas, Tallarico tweeted. Thank you to all the healthcare superheroes working today. Let's help by getting vaxxed and boosted. Yeah, okay. There it is. Real life action figures, right? So let's see the rest of them. There was a whole series of them I saw. Every time Tallarico and his campaign attempt to tell the rest of the world that they're not seeing what they're actually seeing, it backfires. Without even getting into his dubious track record and claims regarding his understanding of religion in general and Christianity in particular, this whole manliness thing has become a problem of his own making. Why can't he just be himself? Because as my colleague Matt Margolis has reported, everyone knows, including his campaign apparently, that Texans don't want to vote for a set of pronouns. Exactly right. Exactly. Yeah. I love you. Gayest thing I ever saw. That's awesome. Yeah, because it is. You know, fact checkers, we meant happy. Yes, we did. All right. Let's see what else there is. Feynman on the scientific method. Legacy outlets drop Moroccans. Yeah, geez, legal options. Oh, let me do one Kurt Schlichter and we'll end it with that. As you guys know, I like him. I read most of his books. Here's Fauci's legal options, right? We don't have to play it. We got the video. So let's do that.
Hi, folks. Welcome to Stream of Curtis's Town Hall VIP special video. Let's get some Fauci going.
No.
Did you see his thing on Wednesday? I'm advising my attorney I take the Fifth Amendment. I'm advising my attorney I take the Fifth Amendment. What day is it of the week? I'm advising my attorney I take the Fifth. You know, what's are the Jews responsible for your erectile dysfunction? On the advice of my attorney, I take the fifth.
Yeah.
Just all that stuff. Okay, let's talk about that because there's a lot of nuts and kooks out there who've got their own special theories of pardons and the Fifth Amendment and how that stuff works. So I'll give you a lawyer 411. First of all, the pardon. Fauci was pardoned by auto pen at the end of the Biden administration. Is that a valid pardon? Yes, it's a valid pardon. It is not going to get undone. It is not a pardon because it's done by an auto pen. None of that matters. None of that's going to work. Get that out of your head. But Kurt, I was reading MAGA Hero 69 on Twitter, and he said that no. Okay. Am I happy about it? Well, actually, I'm very happy about the pardon working all the time. It's a plenary power. It doesn't have to be justified. It can be done in any manner the president chooses. And I'm very glad about it. Why are you glad that he's going to get away with all the stuff that he did in the past and in the future? Well, it doesn't apply to stuff in the future. It applies to potential federal crimes in the past. And I'm glad he's going to get away with it because that means Republicans are going to get away with it when Trump pardons everybody. Okay, it's a two-way street. And you can't undo the pardon. Well, we should test it in a court of lawingness. No, we shouldn't because that's dumb and it's not going to work. And don't tell me it's conservative. It's not conservative.
He's a lawyer, by the way.
To not do what the Constitution says. The Constitution says the president can pardon people. President can pardon people.
Yeah, but
That
what
means
about an auto?
President Gumby can pardon this little evil gnome. And it's going to work, and there's no way around it. And I know it was done by, it's done by an auto pen, so it's not, you see, because there's Freemasons and the saucer people. No. He can do it through the auto pen. He could do it orally. If you want, he could say, I pardon thee, and thou wast pardoned. Okay, that's just how it works, and it's good that it works that way. It's good that it works that way because it protects us. But he's going to get away with it. He's not going to be held accountable. Okay, you're right. He's not going to be held criminally accountable in a federal court for what he did. Absolutely correct. You are correct. And since you are not a teenage girl lying on her bed, scribbling in her diary with her feet waving back and forth, going, I can't believe mom and dad broke into my privacy and read my journal, much like Fauci is, you're not going to be a little bitch about it. You're going to go, okay, it's an adult world and there are trade-offs. And one of the trade-offs for protecting our people who are out there doing important things for us is to have a pardon power that lets some creeps get away because other creeps decide to pardon them. Now let's talk about the Fifth Amendment. What is the Fifth Amendment? Fifth Amendment is the right against self-incrimination. It's usually construed very broadly. It basically means you don't have to testify against yourself. And when you assert the Fifth, you'll often say, on the advice of my attorney, I'm going to assert my right on the Fifth Amendment not to answer that question. And you will often answer no questions because you don't want to inadvertently waive it. You can waive your Fifth Amendment right. You can't say, well, I'm going to answer this, and this question.
Right.
And get them in front of the jury, but I'm not going to answer any others.
Yeah, you can't do that.
If you offer testimony, you open the door to clarification and challenge of that testimony.
Right.
Which means you potentially waive your Fifth Amendment right. Fifth Amendment, you can waive your people waive their Fifth Amendment rights all the time. They get up there and say things that are potentially incriminating. Again, potentially incriminating, very broadly designed. You might say, well, were you in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday the 15th? Well, I exercise my Fifth Amendment right on the advice of my attorney. Why? Well, because maybe the crime occurred in Washington, D.C. on that day. It does incriminate you. It is evidence that you were in town at that time. Doesn't prove it, but it adds to the pile of circumstantial evidence that might convict you. So it's very broad. So if you're asking why he won't say his name or anything else, it is usually to avoid waiving his right to self-incrimination. So yeah, it was kind of, now look, we all get it. very often when you invoke your Fifth Amendment rights because you did something. Now, not always. They will attempt to trap you and to try and convict you of something you didn't do. You can convict people with indirect evidence. It's called circumstantial evidence. We have a flock camera that shows your car was in the area of the bank robbery, and 5 hours later you were seen spending $500 in cash to buy snow cones. Those are circumstantial evidence that maybe you're the guy who robbed $500 from the bank. Okay, direct evidence would be I saw Kurt go in and rob the bank. He had a gun and a mask and a little bag with a dollar sign on it. Okay, that's direct evidence. So if you're exercising your Fifth Amendment right, exercise it for everything. Just don't say nothing. Now gets to the fun part. How does that work? Because Fauci has been pardoned. He cannot be convicted of federal crime. So the idea is you would be able to ask, okay, Dr. Fauci, you lied to him, and I'm not. I hear all these things about we want to convict. We should arrest him, and blah blah blah. And I keep thinking, well, what's the statute that he broke? Because I'm not sure which statute it is. You can't arrest somebody for being generically bad. And make no mistake, Fauci's an evil bastard, and he is generically bad. But what's the statute that he broke? Was it wire fraud? I don't think so. RICO. What's a predicate offense? That is the offense that forms the basis of a RICO case. What did he do? Let's assume he broke the bad guy crime. I don't know what it is, and I think that's a big problem with a lot of this saying arrest Fauci. You can't arrest somebody for being a jerk. You can't prosecute somebody for being a showboating schmuck with an imposter syndrome, and that's Fauci to a T. But let's assume he broke the bad guy crime. Okay. He's been pardoned for it. Right? He's been pardoned for all the crimes he committed up to.
I'm going to disagree with him because I love this guy, but I'm going to disagree. I don't think he was pardoned. You can't get, just because they say the power of the president of the pardon is absolute. Yeah, the president. We know now that Joe Biden half the time had no idea where he was. And does anybody think he actually read through the documents why someone should be pardoned? No. They wanted to pardon. It was the people behind him, the machine, the Democrat Party. They wanted Fauci pardoned to protect themselves. I mean, think about it. All the media people that ran on his bullshit, right? That actually gave some legitimacy to the six foot distancing and masks work. And remember, it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated, which was the dumbest freaking thing I ever saw. Right? But they wanted it gone. The Democrats in the states, especially, they wanted him because he could have thrown everybody under the bus. Right? So I just disagree with him on that. I know what he's saying. Yes, the pardon's absolute, but I don't think it was a real pardon. I just don't. I don't think it was. I got one more. Annoying lib.
Completely embarrasses herself in this debate with Michael Knowles. And as for the cross that you talked about, yes, Deus Vult, which is the cross that he has, and the slogan that he has,
Deus Vult is
an old Christian cross. The phrase, however, was uttered by crusaders as they were slaughtering Jews and Muslims during the Second Crusade specifically. So it's not just a random cross. It's not just a random phrase.
That isn't true. The phrase
It's not true.
It is true. The phrase was uttered after the Council of Clermont when Pope Urban II declared the crusade. And it was actually probably Dieu le Vult, but it's been rendered in Latin as Deus Vult. It has nothing to do with slaughtering Jews. It has nothing to do with slaughtering Muslims because the Muslims had invaded Europe, not the other way around.
Oh my God, are you really saying that the reason the crusade, which was sent to the Holy Land to liberate the Holy Land, from whom? From Jews and Muslims?
I'll tell you why the crusade began because the Eastern Emperor asked for help from the Western Pope because the Seljuk Turks were slaughtering Christians in the Holy Land because those lands were Christian before the Muslims invaded in the 7th century. So that's why.
No. Those
Good to know
crusades.
Michael's
Listen, those
pro-crusade.
lands.
He'll get
Those
along really
lands.
well
I'm
with Pete
sorry.
Hegseth.
Those lands became Christian after the first crusade. Okay, so let's be very
the
clear.
lands
We
were
wanna talk
Christian.
about the-
They were Christian long before. It was the Muslims that slaughtered people going across the Middle East and turned them into Islam.
First and second centuries, and then the Muslims. Islam didn't exist before the 7th century. What are you talking about?
He used a very specific terminology. But putting
A
all
phrase
of that
was
aside,
first uttered to defend
the biggest-
persecuted Christians in the Middle East, just like they're being persecuted today.
Okay, if you want to talk about
That's
the
who you want as
Crusades
the
being,
Secretary of Defense. Wonderful.
Yes, someone who
listen, if
defends
you
the
want to
persecution.
talk about the Crusades,
Julie, finish your point.
I cannot even believe that something the Vatican apologized for is something you're defending, which is the slaughter
the
of
Vatican
Jews
apologize
and
for?
Muslims during the
What do you-
Crusades.
What did the Vatican
Excuse me, the
apologize
Vatican said the
for? What are you
Crusade.
talking
Oh
about?
my Jesus! You know what? Why don't you give me a call after this, and I will walk you through exactly.
All right, let's try.
You know where that wouldn't have happened? The kitchen. Boom. Fuck.
Oh, that's funny. That's pretty funny. All right, let's do this one instead. Let me see. Is that up there? Yeah. There we go.
Today, I'm going to tell you about one of Gavin Newsom's most embarrassing blunders. The California governor has managed to mess up the Hollywood tax credit. Last year, in 2025, Gavin Newsom signed a new Hollywood tax credit. It more than doubled the existing tax credit from $330 million to $750 million a year. And that's a big deal. The governor's office pointed out that it could create $6.6 billion in economic activity in the ailing entertainment industry. And Hollywood certainly needs the help. After all, jobs are declining and there are all kinds of fears around competition from AI. And the Golden State is losing production to other states, even other countries that are providing generous tax incentives.
Yep.
But in his new budget, Gavin Newsom accidentally took those tax credits away by passing a cap on corporate tax credits that amounts to $5 million or 70% of gross tax liability. That means the studios can't claim very much of the Hollywood tax credits at all. What he gave in 2025, $750 million, he essentially took away in 2026 with a cap of $5 million. It's essentially a useless tax credit. Now, the legislators
and people are going to vote for him anyway.
Are also on the hook because they claim they thought they were voting for a budget that had a little carve out for Hollywood that would preserve the tax credit. Turns out they didn't read the bill at all. And so now the legislators and the governor have to go back to Sacramento and they have to pass a new law carving out a special exemption for Hollywood from the tax cap on tax credits in California. It's all very embarrassing as Gavin Newsom is trying to build a profile for his presidential run in 2028. After all, if you can't take care of your state's most important industry, how can you take care of the country?
Right. Now, one more, and then we're going to call it. I like Benny.
Hi, f***ing f***ers. Anybody feeling like this today? Oh, that's ice. That's cold. That's heartless. Ice. I feel about
You're a lunatic.
Oh, yeah. Today, anybody else feeling like that today? You want to just crush ice like I do? Yeah, I'm crushing ice today, friends.
FAFO, babe. Talk to
And it's
Renee
going
Good.
everywhere.
Oh, you can't.
I'm done with ice. I am done with ice. That's all I'm saying today. That's all I'm saying.
So, a couple things here. That ice is going to now melt and get your kitchen all wet. Way to go. You played yourself. And then two, you seem like such a pleasant person to be around. I mean, who wouldn't want to date you or hang out with you with that, meat tenderizer right within reach? And if just like a news article about a federal law enforcement agency can force you into this kind of a blind rage, then let me suggest that perhaps there's something else wrong here with you. Right. And that maybe there's a bit of a spiritual problem there. Yeah. That being said, and I want to try and turn all these videos positive, it seemed like you could make a killer daiquiri, like maybe you should try bartending. Have you ever tried bartending? You kind of sound like a bartender. Like somebody at a casino bar. Maybe you could do that. Have you ever thought about that? You crush ice. It's a lot of drinks with crushed ice, right? Okay.
Gotta love that, man. All right, guys. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you haven't already. It really does help us. Next week, come back with some friends. Thank you all for being here. I know it's a Friday night and you spend your time here. We love you to death. Dr. Jade will be back next Friday. She's up in Montana, where men are men and women are glad of it. So do me a favor, watch my videos during the week. Come back next week. I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow night on 40 stream. Well, I won't be on, but I'll be watching. See you guys. You fell into his trap, Linda. Bait. There you go. Master debater. Yeah, there you go. All right. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a great weekend. Love you all. See you next week. Bye.